Busch Series Countdown is presented by DirecTV as part of DirecTV's Speed Weeks.
You are looking live at the Daytona International Speedway, the mecca of stock car racing. And folks, we are ready to go racing here on ESPN2, the NASCAR Busch Series, about ready to begin. It has been presented by DirecTV on a beautiful day from Daytona Beach, Florida. It will be the first race of the 35 race series. And remember now, all of the Busch Series races this year will be covered live on either ESPN2 or ABC. Right now, let's go up to the fellows who will call the action. Here's Jerry Punch. Jerry?
Thank you very much, Brent, and we are thrilled to be the exclusive home now of the NASCAR Busch Series. And guys, all week long we have seen surprises in practice and qualifying in these Busch Series cars. What do you guys think will be the big stories here today?
Jerry, I'd say one of the big stories can be Juan Pablo Montoya, the F1 driver, the IndyCar champion. How can he handle the Busch Grand National cars? He's never been to Daytona in a Busch car before. The track is slick. They got a brand new right-hand side tire, which is playing havoc with these guys. A real durable tire, though. So the conditions are going to be wild out there. The other story is, how in the world is the slick track off of turn 2, turn 4 going to handle? They got a big bump off of turn 4. A lot of guys been hitting the wall off of turn 2. They've been sliding up, getting in the wall there too. It's going to be pretty wild out today, but I expect a big race. Around lap 15, wait for the cars to start getting the old handling.
I think it's going to be the aero package. I think it's that new aero package, or the different aero package that the Busch cars have, is going to throw them some curves. The Cup guys that are driving in the Busch race, it's a different package, different feel. So these guys have got to get used to it. They've got to get their cars handling right. They've got to be able to make adjustments and make communications with their crew. And the rookies have to deal with this as well. So I think it's going to be the aero package.
A year ago, they set a record here at Daytona, 11 caution flags for 35 laps. They'll have their hands full today. We'll follow up what's going to happen as we lead to the green flag with more of Countdown when we come back.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins at Richmond. Yeah!
Out the window once the green flag drops in a very short time. Tell me what you expect to see once that green flag does drop today.
10 cautions at least.
Yeah,
I mean,
really?
It's going to be wild out there, and these guys are going to be, you know, it's going to be like an old chariot race. I mean, they say they're going to take it easy, but once you get out there and you're drafting, I mean, you're just, you go nuts. I mean, it's a blast. It's so much fun it should be illegal. But and the problem with that is you make one little mistake and you get the big one. So hopefully it won't happen, but historically it's not the way it is here.
And the big one is that super speedway phenomenon when all hell breaks loose, yeah, and everybody's running. You expect to see, like he said, 10 cautions?
Oh, I'm very concerned about this race today, especially after watching practice all week. I mean, the Busch Series drivers were all over the racetrack. There were people hitting the wall left and right, and these cars were impounded. So they're going to get in these race cars cold and not have any idea what they have until about the first 10 laps, and that could be very, very detrimental in the first 5 laps.
All right, one guy is now a Cup regular, but he's been very successful in the Busch Series. 2-time Series champ is Martin Truex Jr., and he's with Mike Massaro.
Well, Chris, if what Brad Daugherty just described is true, well, it could be pretty dicey for this guy. Brad Daugherty just said he expects there to be about maybe 10 cautions today. What do you think?
Well, I hope they're all behind us. You never know here. This hard tire and this aero package on these cars makes for 2-3 wide big packs. So anything's possible, but we'll hope to stay in front of our Bass Pro Chevrolet.
It seems like there's a pretty good chance, guys. The car he's driving has won 3 times. Shannon?
I'm here with Carl Edwards, who's getting ready to get into his Busch car. And he's hitting me. Carl, many people have already started to etch your name in the championship trophy for this Busch Series this year. Is that a little motivation, or is it some added pressure?
Oh, definitely motivation. I mean, you know, our team is great. You know, Scott's came on board this year, and we're going to have a lot of fun, that's for sure. But we're here to win a championship, and we've come close, you know. And I'm only hitting you because you're holding on to my leg the whole time around the racetrack.
I was holding on to his leg because we were doing the driver intro victory, or lap, I'm sorry, and I almost fell out of the car.
Yeah, and when it's time to do an interview, she hits you in the back to turn you around. So, no, we're going to have a good time today. I had a blast in the truck, and, man, it means so much to start off the season with a good day here. I don't think I've finished a Busch race in February yet at Daytona, so we'll see.
All right, Carl. Well, you've had a busy week. You've run in the Truck Series today, the 500. You went to Grammy parties, and you also went to a dinner dance, an elementary school dinner dance. Tell me about that.
Yeah, with Melanie Tucker. She's 12 years old, and I was her date the night before we went to the Grammys party. So we flew up to North Carolina, learned the Macarena. Now I know that really well, and the chicken, duck, shake your rear end dance. I learned that one. That was good. we had a good time. Had punch, cookies, whole deal. And it was funny because then the next night, we're at these Grammy parties with, like talking to Robert Randolph and Kid Rock and all these people, and it was just crazy, the difference between the two nights. But I definitely had fun.
All right, well, we'll let you drive the race before we ask you to demonstrate those dance moves for us. Carl Edwards is starting 6th in the Busch race today.
Shannon, I did not expect to hear the Macarena brought up today. Full contact on the track, full contact interviews here in NASCAR. Last couple of seasons, Edwards has finished 3rd, 2nd last year, runner-up to Harvick, and he is the favorite. But that makes it pretty dangerous to give the guy the trophy before the season series even starts, Brad.
Yeah, that jinxes him 100%. But we all know Carl Edwards is a tremendously talented race car driver, and the Scotts Ford is very capable of running up front each and every weekend. So I think people are going along with that combination as being a winning combination at the end of the year.
Plus, last year he was the only guy to keep Kevin Harvick honest. He decimated the field last year, and Carl was the only guy to keep him in distance and striking distance. So he's definitely the favorite to win the championship this year.
Okay, so that Busch season, the first of 35 races, about to unfold. The stands filling up. It's a beautiful but chilly day. Great excitement as the 2007 NASCAR season is set to get underway. Sit back and enjoy this Daytona 300. And if these guys are right, there's going to be a lot of entertainment value. Wild and woolly out there, and the green flag is going to drop in just a couple of minutes. But now we're going to throw it to the track announcer for the invocation and the anthem, and then the green flag. So folks, enjoy opening day of the Busch season, and let's join now Jim Trado.
And over half of the drivers in today's race will also compete in tomorrow's Daytona 500. It is truly a day that can launch careers or end them. And Rusty Wallace, these restrictor plate races truly are unpredictable and wild. 43 cars inches apart at almost 190 miles per hour. As a driver right now, what are you thinking?
Well, Jerry, I've raced in these races many times. The thing I'm worried about right now is the start of the race. They're going to go down in turn 1, 2 wide, then they're going to get 3 wide. And then I'll tell you what, down that back straightaway, all heck's going to break loose. They're going to have to be real careful. I'm concerned about the cars going away, the handling. I'm concerned about the rookies. I'm even concerned about the veterans. These guys are going to get real aggressive. They got to be calm and start logging some laps.
Andy, we have marquee drivers like Kevin Harvick, Casey Kane, Tony Stewart starting toward the back of the pack now. What do you think will happen with those guys in the early laps?
Well, I believe when that green flag waves, Tony Stewart and those others are going to rock it to the front. Don't be surprised if one of those guys is not in the lead or near the lead in 20 laps. As a former car owner, I can tell you the pressure to perform is huge. This first race is a Super Bowl for these Busch Series teams, and your season can be made or broken today.
Well, Rusty Wallace, you watch Tony Stewart at the back of the pack. You've driven these cars a number of times over the years. How difficult is it to come from where he is to the front in these kind of racetracks?
Well, Jerry, it's not difficult at all. These cars get a big draft. They got the wicker on the top. They got the gurney flap on the back rear spoiler. Creates a lot of turbulence. They can get from the back to the front pretty quickly. And as we were talking to Stewart earlier, he said he's going to lay back. I don't believe that. They're all going to try to be careful. But one thing about this style of racing, they can flat get from the back to the front all over the place today. These cars handle pretty good. But with this right side tire they've been complaining about, it's a durable tire, no doubt about that. But it does get slick about 15 laps in a race, and they got to be a little careful with that one.
I think Tony Stewart will have all the patience of a Rusty Wallace when they wave the green flag. 43 of NASCAR's finest. It is the most talented and diverse series field in NASCAR Busch Series history. As we get ready to start, it is time to go down for the words we've all been waiting for. The command to start. Let's go trackside.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Orbitz Worldwide Chief Marketing Officer, Randy Wagner, as she delivers those most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Well, as this field of 43 cars now roars to life, we are just moments away from the start of the season-opening NASCAR Busch Series Orbitz 300. Let's update the stories we'll be following all day, starting on pit road with Alan Bestwick.
Tony Stewart is going to start this race in 38th position. I talked to Tony just a moment ago before he put up the window net and pulled on the helmet. He said the word of the day for him is patience. He and his friends plan to drop to the back of the pack, let some of the traffic thin, and then work their way to the front. But even going to the front, patiently pass some of the drivers with less experience in the Daytona draft. You got to finish first before you can I got that wrong. You got to first finish before you can finish first. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Alan, I'll start now. And you heard on the NASCAR Busch Series countdown all day long talking about Carl Edwards as the favorite this year, although Doherty said now we've surely jinxed him. But anyway, how does Carl do it? How does Carl Edwards win the 2007 Busch Series championship? Well, the first thing he's got to do is get out of Daytona a whole lot better than he did last year. Last year, early in the race, involved in a wreck, finished 39th. That's the way he went to the second race, deep in the points. He needs to change that this year to send himself on the way to the 2007 championship. Mike Massaro.
For the second time in his career, Eric Almirola is on the pole, but unlike the first time, he'll actually get to participate in the race. Back in June of 2006, he merely qualified the car for Denny Hamlin, who was commuting back and forth from Sonoma with his Nextel Cup activities. This, however, is a dream come true for this 22-year-old who grew up less than 150 miles away in Tampa Bay, Florida. After winning the pole, he said it was the last thing he expected, but he's now in position to shock the racing world once again as he leads the field to the green in just his 10th career start. Jamie?
Well, Mike, as we've heard throughout the show, one of the biggest stories in NASCAR is Juan Pablo Montoya. The open wheel star is here in NASCAR, and you know he has 4 Busch starts, but today begins his, well, I guess pursuit of a championship, you'd say, in both Busch and Cup and the Rookie of the Year honors. Now the question is, has he made some friends? Has he gained some experience and respect to get drafting partners today? And Doc, if so, will he know how to use it to get to the front?
Well, Jamie, we arguably have the most talented and diverse starting field in the NASCAR Busch Series history. Take a look, 6 former Indy 500 drivers, 2 that have won it, 23 drivers who will race today and in tomorrow's Daytona 500, and 11 drivers, yes, 11 making their first ever NASCAR Busch Series start here at Daytona at the World Center of Racing. Well, the NASCAR Busch Series finest are back, and so are we. We'll kick it off when we come back.
Along with you all day long. A lot of problems off of turn 2 in practice. What are you expecting today in this race?
Yeah, I think you might have said it right there. You know, we got a little bit of wind right here coming off turn 2 to our left side. It's going to kind of blow the cars over there, but I think it's going to be a good race. I think it'll be a big pack of cars, and I think the guys, just like last night, the guys that work together are going to go to the front.
All right, man, you hold a pretty wheel out there. We'll be following you.
Man, glad to be part of the team. Have a good broadcast up there, guys.
Hey, PK, this is Andy Petrie up in the booth.
Hey, Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. You got your pit crew guys down there. They hadn't been on pit road and all winter long, a few months. You got all the cobwebs out?
Actually, we do. They had a little practice, did some stuff for some of the guys last Sunday, so we're good to go.
I know Carl's counting on you down there, PK.
10-4, we're going to take care of them.
All right, guys, Pierre Cattell on the pit box. Carl Edwards in the car. 2 extra commentators joining us today here at Daytona for the season opening NASCAR Busch Series event. And onboard cameras, yes, you're going to have 8 onboard cameras, and all in high definition. For the first time ever, you're going to be able to see everything on and off the racetrack. You can actually count the poles and the fences they go by. That's how good the pictures are here in high definition. And we're going to have all different varieties of cars. Mike Wallace in the Geico Chevrolet. And of course, Mike is a 3-time winner here at Daytona in 3 different series: ARCA, NASCAR Craftsman Trucks, and in 2004 in the Busch car, starting back in 32nd position. How about the reigning Indy 500 winner, a rookie here in NASCAR Busch Series competition? That is Sam Hornish Jr. driving the mobile Ford for Roger Penske Racing.
Sam had that fabulous finish, passing Marco Andretti in the last lap at Indianapolis. The freecreditreport.com entry for David Gilliland in the car number 25. He is the pole sitter for tomorrow's Daytona 500. 30-year-old driver from Riverside, California. He understands what it's like to have to beat the competition. He's on the golf team with Tiger Woods in high school. How about this guy, reigning one of the series champions, Greg Biffle, in the Oreo Ford, starting back in 9th spot. You'll be able to ride along with Greg. He will be driving this car and a couple others of the 6. And how about Mark Martin, the winningest driver in NASCAR Busch Series history, 47 career wins, back with Jack Roush for at least 2 races this year, this one and at Texas Motor Speedway. He starts up in 8th position. And the 99 car, that is the Aaron's Toyota. Now David Rudeman starting back in 21st, the car owned by Michael Waltrip. One of 4 Toyotas in the field today. In fact, there's a Toyota on the front row. And a 33. Here's the guy we're going to watch all the way from the back of the pack. In fact, he's starting almost close to Jacksonville. Tony Stewart won this race a year ago from 16th starting spot, won it 2 years ago from 14th. But guys, he's way back in 38th spot in the Old Spice Chevrolet. And Andy, what do we watch for here early on in this one?
Well, I think it's get him to the front. You got to get up there clean without tearing your car up. You got Tony Stewart and Kevin Harvick, defending race champion and the defending series champion, and getting a handle on it. We just talked about how these cars are handling different and not having the car too loose or too tight. That's very important. And finding a date for the dance. You got to find a car that makes your car work good with somebody else. I mean, you got to find a partner that makes your car go to the front, and they'll be searching for that during the race.
All right, Rusty Wallace, the field in tow. The field in tow behind the pace car. Over 120,000 diehard NASCAR stock car fans are on their feet. They have been waiting. We have been waiting. Boy, have we been waiting for this moment as the cars come off of turn 4. And the pace car will take that hard left-hand turn. A 22-year-old will lead him down. A Toyota beside him with Jason Leffler. 2 Indy 500 winners in the field. 7 former Daytona winners. Who will it be? We'll let you know in 300 miles. Fans are on their feet as the cars come down to the green flag. And the 2007 NASCAR Busch Series season is underway. Turn 4, 31-year-old Jason Leffler in a Toyota will lead the first lap. How about that? Toyota in its first ever Busch Series start leads lap number 1.
I tell you what, that didn't surprise me at all. Jason Leffler's car's been strong throughout practice. A lot of horsepower, guys. For him to get that good jump and get going, that was really good. Now the inside lane's picking up right now. The 18 car, Eric Amarilla, he's gaining some speed right now with John Wood behind in tight tow. It's going to take guys working together throughout the day. Now I think pretty shortly, though, these guys going to start going 3 wide, and that's when the trouble could start.
We're going to see them run 3 wide, and we're going to see them all in this big pack till these tires start getting some heat on them. So guys that need to make a move, they need to make their early move right now while the tires are good.
One of the cars in the middle, you see the car, the black car in the middle. That is the 55 car of Robbie Gordon, who started back in 14th spot. Robbie had to have this car repaired off-site 2 days ago. They worked until 6:30 in the morning to get it back for qualifying. And he does not have a conservative bone in his body, guys. He is going for the front in a hurry.
Now, Robbie's not the type of guy that's going to lay back. He wants to win this race and prove some things to some people, so I don't expect him to lay back at all. He's going to work the top lane, the bottom lane. You saw him bottom out there a little bit. Sparks flew out of that car. You know, they did a lot of work to that car, Jerry, repairing it, getting ready to go. It looks like it's handled real well right now. You got to look at Paul Menard in front of him. He's a good guy to drag him. Juan Pablo Montoya. This is something Montoya needs to do. Just stay still now. Stay in that outside lane. Be careful.
How about last year's winner? We told you Tony Stewart was going to try to come motoring up from 38th spot. There's a look at Tony Stewart. That is the 88 car of Shane Huffman behind him that's owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr. As you ride on board with Tony, you'll see that he is being a little more patient than possibly we thought he might be. What's going on with Tony Stewart, Alan Beswick?
Doc, just the same thing that we talked about pre-race, but I was with Tony waiting to do the pre-race interview when Dale Earnhardt Jr. walked up to him, and Earnhardt Jr. initiated the conversation. Everybody expected Jr. to rocket to the front of this field. He was the one that said, hey, I'm going to go to the back and hang out for a while and let the pack thin out. Maybe we can miss the big wreck,
Trouble
which
on the
just
back
happened.
straightaway. The 47 car of John Wood is spun involved with the 32 of Dave Blaney.
Hold the brake. Hold the brake.
And those are spotters talking to their drivers, and Blaney has gotten his car righted. John Wood, the young third-generation driver out of the Wood Brothers stable, that's his machine, the Clorox American Red Cross Ford that had qualified so impressively at third. And here we are in lap number 3. We have our first incident of the afternoon.
Yeah, I was talking to those guys. They were very optimistic with John Wood. They thought they were going to have a great car today. Man, I know they hate to be knocked out early. They don't have too much damage on the Wood car, but it looks like this one here does have some damage. David Reagan, he's got some damage that's probably going to put him in the garage for a little while.
Put 2 tires on it first. 2 tires on.
Let's see if we can see what happened as you watch these cars coming off of turn 2, bottom of your screen.
Guys, classic example. This 10 car made it 3 right in the center of the track. Gianna Andretti got so close to the 47 car of John Wood that he lost his downforce. And that's a classic case of just losing downforce. They're running that tight together. It really kills the downforce. So Woods was the guy lost out in this deal. But the 10 car running 3 wide, if we go back a little bit, we'll take a look again. That's what's caused this problem.
You see the contact there, Blaney and John Wood. How much control do you have over these cars now when you're spinning now backwards onto the asphalt like that?
Well, Jerry, there's not a lot of control, but what you need to do is turn this wheel all the way to the left and lock the brakes down. If you try to back steer, this car could go right up the racetrack again. They always teach you, turn left, lock it down, don't let off the brake.
On board.
Go high, go high, go high. Come back down, come on. Good job.
You heard what David Rudeman heard. Now look from across turn 2 and watch the left side of your screen here.
Well, by that time, the 47 of John Wood's already lost it. Blaney, everybody's checked up, and they start pile driving into each other. And that's what happens here, Jerry. You get this big chain reaction going on when something up in front of you happens. Generally, it starts in the front, and boy, it feeds itself backwards.
All right, guys, first caution, 3 cars involved on lap number 3, and Andy Petrie pit road is open. What do you do if you're a crew chief?
Well, we're going to stay out if we're up front. These guys have got some problems with their cars, damage. They're going to pit, but you're going to have some other guys that are at the back of the field that may even want to make some chassis adjustments. Maybe some of these guys that qualified with a different setup and more for qualifying will may undo some of these things, and they'll take this opportunity to do it.
And remember, these cars were impounded after qualifying, so they have not been able to make adjustments on these cars. So most of the drivers opting to stay on the racetrack. An early incident here at Daytona. Turn 2, 3 cars involved in lap 3. Back in just a moment.
Lance Armstrong probably win 7 marathons too.
He was talking sports out of
my lack of information. Please. The Spurs have no chance this year.
But then I started watching ESPN News. It's constantly updated, 24-hour sports news. So now I know sports. Better yet, I sound like I know sports.
The series at Daytona is being brought to you by DirecTV. There's good TV, there's better TV, and then there's DirecTV. And by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world. We've had to shift gears here early on in the NASCAR Busch Series event at Daytona. Lap number 3, 3 cars involved. John Wood, Dave Blaney, and Dave Reagan. As those 3 cars had sustained some damage, we've had cars on and off pit road, and there's still some work being done on the 90 car of Stephen Like. We will mention for you Joe Nemechek fans that Joe has taken the 87 car behind the wall. We are checking. We are being told preliminarily that he may have a hole in the radiator from some debris. There's the work on the 87 car, the Nemco Motorsports efforts for Joe Nemechek.
Jerry, it looks like the 90 car, Stephen Light's going to go a lap down, but he will be the first guy that can probably get that lap back with the free pass.
All right, getting set for the restart. Martin Truex will lead him down. How about Juan Pablo Montoya from 16th starting spot? He is all the way.
Everybody's rolling.
in 7th spot. So watch for Montoya. He was awfully good in one of the NASCAR Cup Series dual qualifying races. In fact, he led the first 22 laps of one of those races on Thursday.
Very impressive in the 150s on Thursday. I expect him to have a really good race here. This is a different package. We heard him talking pre-race that the aero package on these cars being different makes them drive different. So he's having to adjust a little bit to that. Not just to stock cars, but he's got to adjust to 2 different stock cars.
There you're riding along with Greg Biffle as he's trying to make a move to the high side of Montoya as they look at the Jason Leffler car. A little bit of a sandwich there with Mark Martin, the 06, the 5 car that is Kyle Busch, the 60. That's our in-car reporter, Carl Edwards. And boy, Mark Martin went very high, Rusty.
Jerry, I just started to say, I like these single file restarts because it's going to calm them down. So as soon as they started off, and they went 2 wide, 3 wide, went right back at it again. So, you know, these guys aren't too patient. Mark Truex on the outside of the racetrack looks like he got hung out a little bit, but he's getting it back going. The Toyota of, you know, Leffler, he's been strong throughout the day. So that's a good guy to draft with. Now, I noticed there are a lot of guys way in the back of the pack just hanging out. I know you're not seeing it right now at home, fans, but they're just kind of staying patient. One of them, Tony Stewart.
Well, get accustomed to seeing this 60 car at or near the head of the field because Carl Edwards is a man on a mission this year, Andy. He is absolutely saying, I am going to win this NASCAR Busch Series championship. And with more on Carl Edwards, let's check in with Dave Burns.
And, Doc, they've been very comfortable all spring long. I guess if you can call this spring, it's still winter down here, according to the temperature gauge. But during the test, they were very comfortable with the race car. 95 laps of testing they got down here. In fact, Wednesday during practice, they quit practice early. They were so confident with this race car, and Carl has taken it to the front.
Carl Edwards leading the way here early on at Daytona. And he was the one of the drivers doing triple duty here. We mentioned that he will be in the Daytona 500. He also ran in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series event, a wild scramble that was held here last night.
We got a good guy to talk to, Carl Edwards. We'll be checking in with him throughout the day to see how his car's driving. It looks like we got the right guy to talk to. He's put that number 60 car right up front, and he's hammered down right now. He's got the best deal going right now, though, Andy. He's in the front. He's got the clean air. He's getting downforce to the front of that car. And I'll tell you, that is, as a driver, man, you want that. That makes their car handle so much better. And look at Juan Pablo Montoya all the way up in the 4th position. That surprises me a little bit. I thought he'd be a little more patient. Now, he's not doing anything wrong, but he is running great out there.
Yeah, we see some of these guys, even Carl Edwards was off the bottom of the racetrack in 3 and 4, so they're starting to slip around a little bit. We see Juan Pablo Montoya, he kind of slipped up the racetrack with Matt Kenseth getting under him.
But Montoya, remember, has started back in 16th. He was battling for 5th spot. He continues that ascent toward the front. He and Mark Martin couldn't have a better guy to ride with, the most experienced driver in all of Busch Series competition as they battle for the 5th spot. There's the 06 of Martin. And Montoya, boy, look at the power. He comes roaring back on the high side.
You really get a big run off these corners, Jerry. You get a lot of momentum built up, and that's that Biffle come up behind him and help him draft. One interesting note, I'd like to know how that car's handling, because when Kenseth got up underneath him, it really made his car walk and ran up the racetrack. Kind of lets me know that maybe he's a little unstable, not real comfortable the way the car's handling.
Yeah, they're slipping around a little bit. He got forced up into that upper groove, and you see what he can do here. He's going to try to feel this thing out and see if he can run that high groove.
And Kyle Busch was testing that high groove. I don't think he did it voluntarily, though, a moment ago. He went all the way up across the racetrack. Andy, you were in the garage this morning talking to crew chiefs. There was a lot of concern about how long these guys can hang on with that hard right side tire.
Yeah, that hard right side tire has really thrown them a little bit of a curve as far as the handling goes. And they're all, so you see that 15 wiggle getting in the corner right there. I'll tell you, this tire is not easy for these guys. This is typically a racetrack where you can run flat out with the throttle right on the mat. But, man, when they start sliding around like this, you can't hold it on the mat.
Well, Andy, if you see a car going to turn 1 right on the wall, and he can come off at turn 2 right on the wall, that's indicative you got a pretty good handling car. Now, if you got a tight car, you're losing a friend, you're going to start off going into 1. Try to hold a lower lane, because that thing's going to drift out from underneath you coming off at turn 2.
Speaking of drifting, the 5 car starting to do a little bit of drifting up the racetrack. What's going on, Mike Massaro?
Well, Doc, the key word for Kyle Busch today, patience. I spoke with Mike Bumgarner, who's listed as their crew chief, although Alan Gustafson, his primary crew chief on the Cup Series, is calling the shots. But Bumgarner told me this morning that he was He was going to remind his young driver of one thing, patience. He's going to remind him that he's led a lot of laps this week in the Budweiser Shootout and the Dual 150, but he has not won yet. He thinks there's a message in that. He thinks young Kyle Busch can learn. To Dave.
Mike, keep your eye on that 15 car of Paul Menard. A very disappointed Paul Menard after Thursday afternoon. He attempted to qualify for tomorrow's Daytona 500, but for the second year in a row, left here without a starting position. Today is his day to shine here in the Busch race.
Wow, we see that. You see Carl Edwards get really loose, get into one, had to get out of the throttle, and that made that outside line come by him with that momentum and able to stay in the gas.
Oh, he had a lot of momentum right there. And Carl, you see the rear end kicked out underneath that thing and started doing what I call the death wobble. That baby was all over the place. Now, one guy I'm really impressed with is Sam Hornish Jr. He's put that thing in the bottom of the racetrack. That car is handling good, and he's a driver that I thought had laid back a little bit. I know Penske's been real nervous about him on his first Busch start here at Daytona. But I'll tell you what, you wouldn't know this guy's a rookie here at Daytona. It looks great out there in that Mobil 1 car.
You know, Sam Hornish in the 12 car, back when they were testing here, spent an entire half a day with Carl Edwards, Bill Elliott, Ward Burton, and some of the veterans out drafting, learning to draft. They took him under their wing to teach him the technique of drafting, and it's paying off. It certainly looks like he's very comfortable right now. Alan Beswick?
And Jerry, Sam Hornish does have some experience in a stock car here at Daytona. I talked with him this morning at the end of the drivers' meeting. He told me that the few races he ran here in the IROC Series, the International Race of Champions, really helped teach him the draft. And he said in those cars, there was no radio, no spotter. You really had to learn how to watch the sides of your car and who was coming up inside of you. He thought those lessons would be invaluable today in this race.
Well, they certainly are paying off now for the reigning Indy 500 winner, running awfully well. They are chasing, though, the 5 car. That is the Hendrick Motorsports efforts of 21-year-old Las Vegas, Nevada driver Kyle Busch, who said, you know what, I just may run for the championship if I start well. Back in a moment. Oh, no, we are under caution here for the second time today in lap 16. A major melee off of turn 4. And there are the remains of the Casey Kane car, and there's the 10 car involved. Also John Andretti, the Camping World Toyota, one of the quicker cars in the field today. And let's see if we can show you what happened. Again, it was an incidence of a car getting in the middle. Rusty?
Yeah, the 41 car of Casey Kane got in there. You see, loses his downforce. Guys, you just don't want to be in the middle. We talked earlier about you get 15 to 20 laps in this race. These cars are starting to really handle bad. All you Cup guys sitting in your buses, listen right now, listen up. These cars, the handling's going away about this time. You saw the 41 car of Mears get right there and lose it. We saw the same thing happen in an earlier wreck with the 10 car of John Andretti. These things really start wiggling around, and I was concerned about this, Jerry.
Here's Reed Sorensen. Watch his car in the middle here. The back starts to turn. He turns the steering wheel, Rusty, but I guess it's all over then.
Well, when you come off the corner, Jerry, you can't let that car run out up towards the racetrack. You're kind of compacted down to the middle. It causes your car, if you do have a loose car, just to get looser. And so that's the biggest problem that happened here. A lot of carnage right now. The guys in the back, look at all that smoke as a driver. Man, how do you get through that? These guys are just on the brakes, off the brakes, talking to their spotters. This is one of the toughest things for a driver. Look at all that smoke.
Yeah.
This is what we were talking about earlier. These Cup guys are in this race, and they got a different aero package to adjust to. That's Reed Sorensen. He's been driving a Cup car, drove one this morning in practice, and I think that they're just getting, you know, they just have a different feel with these Busch cars that they're not quite used to.
All right, here the cars come off turn 4. That's the miles per hour for Reed Sorensen. You see suddenly the car just goes sideways, and watch the speed just drop off. Ward Burton involved in the 27 car. Bobby Hamilton Jr. got nudged on both sides, but the heavier damaged cars are the number 9 of Casey Kane, and the front end of that car almost gone. He was turned right into the wall, Andy, almost head on. Here's the 10 car. Tough break for John Andretti, the runner-up by 1 point a year ago for Rookie of the Year here in the NASCAR Busch Series. Thought they had a shot to win this in the Todd Braun machine. They pushed that car back to the garage area.
Sure, I think I got to make a correction. I've been calling the 41 Casey Mears. I'm used to driving for Kanaski so much. Actually, Reed Sorensen lost that car off there. I apologize, folks, about that. Still getting used to these colors.
Here's the 47 of John Wood. I guess, yes, he is the third generation of the famous Wood brothers. His grandfather is Glenn Wood, dad Eddie Wood. John will be driving all year in this series after qualifying so well to start this race back in 3rd spot. Onboard camera shot. We're taking right along with David Rudiman.
3 wide, got one in the middle. 3 wide, still 3 wide. Unspinning, go bottom, go low, go low, go low. Come on, come on. All the way down pit low. All right, start backing it down, start backing it down. Job, back your speed down as you go down through there.
All right, how about riding along with Sam Hornish, who was up in the middle of the racetrack when this all broke loose?
Speed in front of you. Just keep coming straight. You couldn't do nothing about it. You're right in the middle of it.
That was the Jason Leffler car right in front of him that peeled away. And I guess, Rusty, if you're Sam Hornish in those situations, you pretty much are helpless.
Jerry, that was one of the greatest videos you just saw, or replays on our ESPN high-definition in-car cameras, because you saw what you see as a driver. It's so much smoke, you're just hoping that you make it through. Now, look, he hasn't had much damage. A little dent in the left front fender. Evidently, the front of that car is braced up pretty good, so he's going to be just fine. But I'll tell you what, that is exactly what you see as a driver.
Well,
totally out of control.
It's amazing.
And remember what Alan Bestwick told us about the fact that Dale Earnhardt Jr., this guy, and Tony Stewart, the guy right behind him, had a little discussion about, hey, guys, let's just take it easy. Let's lay back early on instead of being a rocket early on. And if they, by laying back, hey, guess what? They stayed out of this mess.
Yeah, but he's still taking a chance of getting in it.
Let's check in on pit road with Alan Bestwick.
Well, Mark Martin not happy with the handling of his car. They're going to try and help the back end. He says it's out of control. 4 tires and an adjustment. You see the wrench in the right rear corner to turn the track bar on the car. Mike?
Kyle Busch has looked pretty strong, but he's complaining the car's just a little bit tight. He's asking to have a round of wedge removed to free him up a little bit. Also, 4 tires and few of these away. Jamie.
Juan Pablo Montoya have been complaining about his car feeling tight since lap 4. They're letting some air pressure out. They're putting double rubbers in, and they're lowering that right rear track bar to see if that'll help. Dave.
Carl Edwards gives up second place to come down pit road. His car just a little bit difficult to turn. They will reduce the air pressure in both left side tires. They changed 4. Jerry?
All right, thank you very much. Great pit work as always. And guys, you hear these different drivers saying we're tight, but there are differing philosophies. The 5 car said we took wedge out. Someone else said we're going to check out air pressure and put double rubbers in. We'll have our expert analyst explain what all that's about when we come back to Daytona in just a moment. We're just right behind him, along with Paul Menard and the veteran Mark Martin. They will come down to take the green flag and go back to action here if we can get a few laps under action, guys. But these cars are slipping and sliding a lot in traffic.
Well, they really are. They're slipping all over the place right now, Jerry. That's what these guys got to be careful of.
The 488.27 are being called back to pit road for speeding.
High definition onboard camera with Carl Edwards. As you watch the back of that 5 car, they just put fresh tires on it. He's still bobbing and weaving around this racetrack.
Okay, the 488.27 were not called back to pit road on that lap. They were earlier and had to start at the back of the field on the restart.
All right, guys, we're going to see if those adjustments they made, they went differing routes on making adjustments on the cars that were all tight. You see how much that will affect these cars here in the early laps.
A lot of these cars, if they get tight late into a run, I mean, they just get tighter and tighter and tighter. If you get the car handling good, you're going to be pretty free at the start of the race. They're going to be slipping and sliding the back end. Then as the fuel burns off, the car should get better and better and better. That's one thing I'd be watching as a crew chief. Although, with that said, you got to be a good driver to really hold on to that baby when those cars are loose early in the race.
Okay, we're hearing they got some smoke coming off the 8 car. NASCAR's checking him out. We're looking at it. I don't see any smoke. Okay, Jamie Little, do you have anything to add to this?
Yes, Andy Petrie, actually, when all those cars got together, Junior's own car that he owns, the 88 of Shane Huffman, got into him. And so it caused a little damage on the 8 car on the left rear. The tire was just rubbing a bit. They came in, they banged it out, put some tires on. All is well now. But, guys, that's the second time this week we've seen an owner get into his own car.
Yeah, it looks clear now. You can tell them down there that we don't see any smoke up here. It looks clear.
And speaking of clear, we are being told that Casey Kane has been treated and released from the infield care center after that incident there. And one car on the bottom of the racetrack looked to be the 42 slowing down. As you're looking at Dale Earnhardt Jr. as he's moving in on Sam Hornish. There's the 42 of Juan Pablo Montoya on the apron.
Yeah, I hear him saying on the radio there's something wrong with the motor.
Tell you what, that was an abrupt move. He come down that front straightaway, guys, wide open and went right on the apron. I thought he was going to spin it.
Get the motor, man. It's done. Get your helmet on. Get your helmet, go over the wall. You and Philippe.
Yeah, Now you hear the crew chief there talking about that is Brad Parrott telling the motor man.
Kill switch.
There's Brad.
No, it's running. It's misfiring, but it's running. I tried.
And he's telling the motor man, you got to have a helmet on to go over the wall and check the engine. Look at this shuffle up front. The 5 car is Kyle Busch. He is the leader. Behind him, Mark Martin, the 47-time winner in NASCAR Busch Series competition, has come all the way with the Dish Network for you. Riding on board there with Mark. He has never won at Daytona in a Busch Series event, despite the fact that what's that little water we saw on the windshield?
That's just a little bit of overflow coming up. That's not a big deal if you just see a little bit of it, but if you see a lot of it, you got to get concerned about it. But Jerry, keep an eye on that.
Jerry, don't look right now, but the 2 and the 21 of Richard Childress cars, they decided to pull the pin. Let's get going right now. We're tired of hanging out in the back, and they just drove right to the front of this pack. They in the back, messing around a little bit, and finally they said, hey, let's go. And boy, I tell you what, you can just tell when these guys want to stand on it and have the nerve to get up there and mix it up, they can do it because the draft does so much. It can take you from the mid-pack car all the way up the lead and nothing flat.
Here's Juan Pablo Montoya's car, the Haviland Dodge, and the crew there for Chip Ganassi.
Yeah, we can see the engine's running, the pulleys are turning, but he must have a miss or something wrong with it. They're trying to find it.
You know, that's pretty good what Pablo done, Andy. When he felt he had an engine problem, he thought it was going to blow. He got it down off the racetrack on the apron to keep all the oil from coming out, but it's pretty obvious he doesn't have a blown engine. We got some type of misfire or something like that. Jamie, can you add?
Rusty, you're exactly right. That's exactly, they just shut the motor off. It was definitely a misfire. Juan Pablo Montoya brought it in. The boys are done. Not the way Juan Pablo wanted to make his debut here at Daytona.
But I tell you what, I will remember about him from 16th starting spot all the way to 5th in 11 laps. I will never forget I bet he won't forget his first start at Daytona.
Jared, that's the first thing I remember. Remember him in the 150s. He led and led and led the other day in the Gatorade Duels. Had a great run leading and fails a right front wheel bearing. Now he's up there running 4th, 5th, running great, and now he has an engine problem. Tell you what, he has proven to me that this guy knows how to drive.
One thing you got to do when you got a great race car driver, you got to put a bulletproof horse under him so he doesn't have any of these kind of problems to get the best that he can do. I mean, he can't do anything standing there on pit road.
Let's check in back with Jamie.
Juan Pablo Montoya talking to his crew chief. Juan, what happened?
I think we lost the motor, dropped the valve or something. You know, it's a shame. You know, Texaco Haviland Dodge car was fast today. But I thought at the beginning it was going to be tight, and even when it was tight, you know, we were hanging out, so we took our time in the pits, put a couple of rubbers in the right rear, and it was fast right there, so it's a shame.
You didn't get many laps, but your first experience at Daytona, how was it out there?
It was good. You know, we had a fast car, and we were using it pretty well, so I was pretty happy.
Juan Pablo Montoya out of the race car, guys. He will be back for Daytona 500 tomorrow.
Well, Jamie, thank you very much. The International Formula One superstar now coming to run full-time in the NASCAR Busch Series. And remember the guy from last year that no one could seem to beat, Kevin Harvick? Well, you called it, Rusty Wallace. He's on his way.
But a 33 car of Tony Stewart, he's got he said earlier, we got a good handling car. You know, qualifying doesn't mean anything, guys. Let me emphasize it. It just really doesn't mean. It's kind of a real good feel good for your team and stuff like that. But as a driver, you know when your car's right. If you can draft up good and that car handles good, which Tony said his car does, hey, I got all the confidence in the world in this cat. Hey, for Pete's sakes, he's won the last 2.
Tony Stewart's onboard camera. And currently in 14th spot, so started back in 38th. And how about Kevin Harvick? That's the car right in front of him. You see there that he's approaching. That's his car. And there's a 21 car. New sponsor colors for Kevin this year in AutoZone. He dominated and won the NASCAR Busch Series title a year ago with 9 wins. And Andy, you knew he was going to be a factor early on.
Yeah, he's got a good handling car. Didn't qualify good. They weren't too worried about it, but he has a good handling car. Now he's up in the mix. What I see in front there are some Roush cars trying to get together. You see the hand signal out the window. You see some of these guys kind of waving, trying to get together. So let's look for see these Roush cars gang up on these Chevrolets.
Kyle Busch trying to hold off a Toyota. And I have been impressed with the strength in the opening race of the Toyotas here at Daytona. They were stout last year in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, but let's see if the 99 car of David Rudiman can put it back up toward the front.
We talked all about the horsepower. Those engines got a lot of power in those Toyotas right now. And probably Rudiman, if you think about it, he's one of the raciest guys out there. I feel pretty good about the way he's going to run as far as the Michael Waltrip camp. He's good over there. Tell you, 3 wide up front again. 2-car Clint Boyer, 32 at David Blaney, and Martin Truex dicing up there, guys. Hold on, man. I'll tell you what, you don't want to do that this early.
Well, this is awesome. NASCAR Busch Series racing at its finest here at Daytona International Speedway. What a way to kick off the season here. The first of 35 events. 3-wide racing. There's Dave Blaney's car trying to slide by as you look across from Carl Edwards' onboard camera. Blaney will take the spot away. How long can Kyle Busch hold on? That Toyota of Ruderman is awfully strong. How about Biffle and Truex? They're on the march, as are Tony Stewart and others. Back at Daytona International Speedway, these beautiful aerial shots of this massive 490-acre complex brought to you courtesy of the folks at Goodyear. Goodyear tires featuring triple tread technology. Well, the race starting to unfold a little bit, and we will rejoin our guys down in the countdown trailer, Chris Fowler and company. And Chris, this one's been pretty exciting from the get-go.
Jerry, it sure has. Pit road behind us has been very busy. We got our crew chief extraordinaire emeritus, Mr. Tim Brewer, and Brad Doherty. You guys, Brad early said this is going to be gnarly racing. Lap 3, our first collision.
Yeah, I kind of thought they would get together early just because of the inexperience and the hard right side tire. And they're starting to sort out right now, but they will bunch back up eventually, and I think we're going to see some more cautions.
I'll tell you what, Kyle Busch, he's doing a phenomenal job right now. His situation as far as learning curve, he's attributed to this series from the Cup Series, and then come back over here. Kid's going to be dominant over here, looks like to me.
All right, Jerry, let's see if these guys, speaking of learning curves, have learned from the early mishaps. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Chris. As you take a look at Kyle Busch and Martin Truex, one car to keep an eye on just coming into your screen there, dropping back a little bit, is the 8 car. That is Dale Earnhardt Jr. On the restart after pitting, he was 27th. Now he was being shown all the way up in the top 8 as he falls back in behind Mike Wallace. For more on Earnhardt, let's check in with Jamie Lynn.
Well, Doc, I talked to Dale right before he got in the car, and I asked him what his strategy is here for drafting, and he said something that was kind of surprising to me. He said, you know what, there's so many rookies in this field, I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to go toward the back, wait for something to happen up ahead, and then I will forge to the front. That's exactly what he did. After that big crash we saw, Earnhardt is on the move right now, guys. He is P13. Allen.
And trouble for one of those rookies in this race. Indy 500 champion Sam Hornish has hit the wall. He has right front tire rub. He had to come in. They've had a problem on the pit stop. Just taking their time on the pit stop, really trying to fix that right front damage and get the fender away from the tire. So another stock car lesson for the Indy champ here today.
All right, here's what happened to Sam Hornish, top of your screen.
You know, it's just a classic case of losing the front end up off the corner. We talked about how treacherous turn 2 was, guys. You just lose the front end. When you get a tight car, you got to start at the bottom of the track and let that front end come up the hill. Whether it's turn 2 or whether it's turn 4, doesn't make a difference. Let's hold and watch this. Up off turn 2, bam in the wall. Andy, I tell you, as a driver, you're turning that wheel, you're losing that front end. It almost feels like you're on ice when that happens.
Some of these pictures I've been seeing look like Darlington. These guys have been running, some of them have been running right up next to the wall, lap after lap, and I kind of expected this to happen. I saw one of the leaders actually just look, I thought they grazed the wall, but maybe not, but they're running right up next to the wall.
Rusty, you've talked to Sam Hornish a lot. How steep is the learning curve for him to be able to come here and make this first start? I mean, Roger Penske has never fielded a car in a restrictor plate super speedway race in Busch ever before.
Well, the learning curve really is steep. He's got to understand what the car is going to do when it burns the fuel off and when the tires wear out, stuff like that. And above all, you got to look at the racetrack you're going to run and say, okay, what is the most critical part of this racetrack? And here at Daytona, it's always turn 2. When the cars get tight, they lose the front end there. He learned the hard way.
And add insult to injury, Sam Hornish was caught speeding. You know, when you get kind of geared up for these races, especially a big race like this, and then have a problem, it's kind of hard to get calmed back down and do it the right way. And this is a rookie, too, with our rules. So if you made a little mistake, you're going to have to come back down pit road. Stop it. It's actually a pass-through penalty.
All right, the low Chevrolet of Kyle Busch is showing him the way, leading down the Arby's machine. That is Matt Kenseth. Hard to get accustomed to the new colors here for the first race of the year, and they have different colors and color schemes, obviously, in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series garage. Matt Kenseth, and boy, did he finish the 2006 season with some strength. Won the last 2 events in a row. There's Matt Kenseth. He won at Phoenix and won the finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. Hope to keep that momentum up here to begin 07.
You know, Jerry, as a broadcaster, I always want us to make our picks. Who's going to win this race? Who can do this? Who can do that? You know, it's just a big educated guess. And I kept wanting to say Matt Kenseth because he's always up front all the time, but I just didn't. And, you know, you're talking about the colors. Look at all the different cars these guys are in right now. The number 17 car, Arby's car. Look at that thing jump around. You see that, Andy? Really loose. Tell you what, it's hard to get used to these colors, and it's hard to get used to how slick this track is today.
They're searching for grip. You remember that 32 car that was involved in that early wreck? He's all the way up to 5th place right now.
Yeah, Dave Blaney's an old World of Outlaws driver. When he flips or gets sideways or gets hit by somebody, just fires him up. It doesn't bother him a bit, I don't think.
Now, I've been watching. There's a lot of guys still laying back. You see Blaney, he got damaged a little bit on the left side. He's okay. But look at the right rear quarter panel of that car. It looks like it's tore up a little bit. Dave, you got more about him? What's going on with that car?
Yeah, Rusty, he was involved in that first caution period. They fixed a little damage on the car, and the last time he came down pit road, Dave didn't want any changes to the car. They just changed 4 tires, no chassis adjustments. They had fixed the damage already, and the 32 is still very fast here at Daytona.
I'm not sure that wouldn't be an advantage having that rear bumper flap like that. Some of the tricks we've tried in the wind tunnel, stranger things have worked better.
Well, we've known from being in the wind tunnel, Andy, if you take that rear bumper off that car, it's definitely going to run faster. So they're probably hoping that it's going to break loose and open up. It's like a big flap in the back, folks. It kind of sticks down in the air. That air is coming underneath the car. It's getting caught on the rear bumper, and it's not an advantage. When that thing breaks loose, that air comes out, and that car actually takes off. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if NASCAR said, hey, if that thing's flopping a little bit, tape it back down, because it can be an advantage. And it's sure not hurting him right now.
Now look at the lane the 32 car runs as far as the groove he runs compared to the guys up front, the 5 and the 17. They go in the corners, and it looks like Blaney just hugs that yellow line. Let's see if he comes all the way down. Here he comes again.
Jerry, a lot of times if they can get down, the left front wheel is the most dominant car portion of a car. Now, you might think, race fans, that when you get in a corner, the right front wheel is the most important one, but as a driver, you want to get down there, you want to feel that left front wheel pull that car around the track. You don't want to have the right front pushing it around. So anyway, he's getting down, getting that grip in the bottom of the racetrack, flat footing that thing around the center, because right now, a lot of them are out of the throttle. They're pedaling it, I call it, in and out of the throttle because the track is so slick.
And Andy, what we're seeing happen right now with these cars lined up single file and moving by others, it's classic drafting Daytona style.
Yeah, they'd probably rather run on the bottom of the track, but being as that we're having to slip up and run high, they're all running together. They want to run nose to tail, because when they run nose to tail, it reduces the drag. You see these two cars right here running side by side. You see our blue car coming into the picture, and when they move right up behind the other car, it reduces that air, goes over that rear spoiler and reduces the drag, and these cars can just motor right on by that inside car.
You ever get up behind a semi on the interstate and realize how easy it is just to sit there? You can actually back out of your own gas pedal and save gas if you want to do, because the semi is punching the hole in the wind. You sit there and ride.
And that same thing happens out here today. These guys will get up in that draft and they'll pedal out of the throttle a little bit, and that's the way they save fuel a lot of times.
On board with Carl Edwards as he's looking at the back of the 17 car. Edwards back in 3rd position.
Got a new feature we want to take a look at. It's called Draft Track. Folks, let's check this out. This actually show what it feels like and that when you're drafting a car. We're talking about the numbers, the downforce, how it really affects the boost. When a guy pulls up behind you and he gets real tight to you, you can really feel your car take off. The car and your car get loose also to actually get the back of the car feeling light. So let's take a look at this right now. Draft boost, 31 horsepower gain Kyle Busch is getting from the help of the 17 car of Matt Kenseth behind him. Now he's not getting much now at all because he's in the inside, hardly no help whatsoever. In fact, it's a negative right now because, now let's watch this, get back behind him, 44 horsepower gain. Now he's starting to really get some help, starting to gain some more power. Oh, nice, slipping back out. We got just a little bit delay there. Now the 60 car behind Kenseth, so what's going to happen? It's really going to help the 17 car shoot off. Now, as you see right now, he got such a good draft behind him, he shot him away from him. And boy, as we're watching this, Edwards is really getting loose out there.
And you saw a moment ago when those guys drafted by Kyle Busch, all that draft boost went away. Went to zero, and now he's got back up and got some help from a car behind him, and here he comes back with a little more draft boost. So, boy, it really does have an impact on these cars when you're able to pull down like he does now and get a little bit of a boost from the cars behind you.
That's the first time I've seen that. That's almost like a real-time wind tunnel. That's pretty cool stuff right there.
Now, one thing you're going to see, Andy, if these guys can stay in line with each other, we can get a good, better reading on our draft boost machine we got cooking up right here. We can really give you a good idea of what's going on. When they're going back and forth, it really confuses our telemetry. But I'm going to give you a better idea of what this thing really looks like. We can get these guys lined up, so if we can show you folks the better portion of it.
All right, you see Kyle Busch's 5 car, Matt Kenseth, showing you the miles per hour. And the draft boost as well, as you're able to see how it fluctuates with these 2 cars.
If you ever have a car in the wind tunnel, you'll see these real-time numbers. They jump up and down like that, and what you got to do is kind of average it out, but it's showing up in real time.
I tell you what, boy, when you're driving that car, you get a guy pulls up behind you, your car will take right off. But boy, I tell you what, if he gets right up too tight off a corner, it can make you so loose it's unreal. And that is just one thing that we can really show here later on in this presentation with our draft boost.
Speaking of boost at launches, how about the 60 car? That is drafting. Here comes Carl Edwards in a hurry. It's like he's late for lunch. He just pulled right up in front of the 5 car, and now he backs up right in front of the 2 car. Clint Boyer.
He got that big boost, but I just heard him say in his radio, woo, this thing is loose.
All right. Oh, he's got to run. Can he get it to go by? That's his buddy, Matt Kenseth. And he slides right up in first place. And that indeed is drafting, as Andy Petrie and Rusty Wallace were explaining. If you have 2 cars in line, get that boost, get that shove. And the latest recipient of that was Carl Edwards, our new leader at Daytona.
Back live at Daytona International Speedway, the season opening Busch race, 69 laps to go of 120. Get you to our Holiday Inn race rundown. On the pole was Eric Almirola, a Tampa native. Very first lap of the first Busch race for Toyotas, led by Jason Leffler's 38 Toyota. Didn't take long. We had a caution to lap 3 and then trouble. See Busch, by the way, passing Carl Edwards there. The lead has been changed frequently, but there's Reed Sorensen in the yellow number 41 car, 3 wide, getting loose, coming into Casey Kane. 12 cars involved in that mishap out of turn 4. Open wheel superstar Juan Pablo Montoya, a disappointing Busch season opener for him. Texaco Haviland Dodge crew giving it a look, but engine trouble forcing Montoya out. Not officially out of the race. Sam Hornish Jr., another open wheel star. He's already hit the wall and been given a penalty for speeding on pit road. So we're at lap 52 of 120, rejoined by Tim Brewer and Brad Doherty. What do you think so far?
I tell you what, a while ago, I seen Carl Edwards come off turn 4. That was a great save. I mean, he had that thing crossed up like you wouldn't believe. But I tell you what, you know, Kevin Harvick, he's just sitting there lurking. I believe he might contribute a little bit here in a minute.
What would you do if you were the crew chief for Carl's car? Because Edwards has been kind of loose, Tim, throughout the afternoon.
Tell you what, you got to tighten that thing up. You know, if you can't keep that foot wide open in the gas all the way through that corner, you know, you get loose. The guy, he's hustling it all he can right now, but you got to tighten that thing up, get him back down the bottom of the racetrack where he can really lean on it.
It's been really impressive at watching Kyle Busch. I mean, he ran high for about 20 laps, just high around the rim of the racetrack and kept the lead. Now he's brought the race car down the bottom of the track, and he's very good there. It's the Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch show right now.
Montoya showing his considerable talent. He picked up about 11 positions in 11 laps, but Tim, you saying Hornish Jr. got a real lesson in stock car racing at Daytona.
I tell you what, you know, those guys, they come in here, they run, they learn, and they'll be back and they'll be better.
All right, Jerry, back to you guys up top.
All right, thank you very much, Chris, as you ride along now with Mark Martin, and you take a look at Mark Martin right behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car.
We're getting close to having some green flag stops. We should be just 5 or 10 laps away.
We might update you, Joe Nemechek fans. Joe Nemechek came out of the garage here after being involved in an early incident, had some debris in the radiator, came back out and was black flagged because they thought there was some oil coming out of the car. He had to come back on pit road, and you just saw the highlights early on. Juan Pablo Montoya, by the way, the word was that he had an engine problem, possibly a broken valve in that 42 car. And here's the 66 car, and there were very high hopes for this one today for Steve Wallace, second-generation driver. After this car was very fast in practice all week long. And Dave, what's the problem?
Yeah, Jerry, of course, he had a couple of spins during practice this week, too. Did make it to the grid with a good race car, but he had some damage from one of the accidents early on. They were on pit road, changed 4 tires, thinking they had pulled the damage out on the right rear. Came back a few laps later to change the right sides again, and now they believe they have all that right rear damage pulled away from the tire enough so it doesn't shred another one, but Steven has gone lap down.
And Dave, he was involved in that incident where 12 cars were sliding together. I think the 88 car is the one that got him in the side, and they have had to continue to work to get that car back together.
Looks like we had one car just barely contact the wall coming off turn 2.
There's a look at Steve Wallace, 19 years old. And last year he had, I think, 4 wins in 7 ARCA series starts, and now following in his father's footsteps here, running the full year for the NASCAR Busch Series Rookie of the Year option and championship.
Alan, Tony Stewart looks way out of control out there. His car's slowing, but what are you hearing about him out there, Alan?
Way out of control, Rusty. That's pretty good. Yeah, his car's sliding all over the racetrack. Tony says he cannot keep his foot on the floor through the corners. He's just about lost the draft and has fallen way back, but no panic in this pit yet. Remember that last year Tony Stewart needed a lot of adjustments and ran up late in the race and took the lead and won. They're not very competitive right now, but they've got time and another pit stop and maybe another 10 to 15 laps.
He's just struggling to try to maintain touch with this front group. If he can do that and not lose too much ground, he can still stay with them until they can get good tires back on it.
Well, Andy, I'm not really concerned about where he is in the draft right now. If he doesn't get a lap down, he'll be just fine because 4 tires are everything right now. If they get tires on these cars, they can catch a draft and really rock it back up to the front. That's what this place is all about. I mean, you saw it the other day in the 150s. A lot of cars almost got a lap down, and they were able to get that last caution and get back up. And in fact, one of them was Mike, my brother Mike Wallace, who was able to get in the 500 by about 1 foot by putting 4 tires on, and he was on the verge of going lap down when that happened.
Well, one of the worst things that could happen to him is if he got caught out there all by himself with no drafting help. Right now he's got a couple cars and he's kind of just barely maintaining touch with these other guys, so he's okay right now, but if he loses any more ground, he'll be running by himself.
Oh, and let's ride along with Tony here and watch his hands in the car, and you can tell a lot about what he's doing and how bad the car is handling by how much he's having to jerk that wheel back and forth.
It looks like he's at Darlington.
Right now, I mean, I'm taking a hard look and see if he's really tight, losing the front end, or if he's loose, because the way he's moving his hands around right now could be a little bit of both. It looks like he's actually a little loose on the entry and tight up off the corner, which is 2 problems you don't want to have happen. Because when we got 1 problem, you can fix it. If you got 2, that's a lot tougher.
I always hate to hear a driver telling me I'm pushing and I'm loose. I'm pushing here, loose there, and I gotta say, which one do you want me to fix?
We can see him right now. His right hand's going back. He's into it, back, back, back. And when he's doing that, that gives me an indication. Looks like that car's loose. Alan, you got more?
Rusty, Tony's having troubles with both ends of the car. At the beginning of the run, he couldn't get it to turn the way that he wanted to. Then when the tire pressure's built up, now the back end is skating around on him. So he's had a little bit of both over the course of this set of tires since the last pit stop.
Yeah, Andy, you're right, buddy. I tell you, it is a tough one, you know. When you lose the front end, you lose the back. As a crew chief.
Whoa, we see him get off turn 4 right there. It looked like the back end scooted out from under.
All right, what about you fans of the 99 car? David Rudeman, the Zephyr Hills, Florida driver, and he has had his share of close calls, you might put them today. Let's take a look at the 99.
And we see him coming off the corner, similar to Sam Hornish, just got up a little bit out of the groove, didn't hit the wall quite as hard as Hornish did, but he still got a little bit of damage from it. That is definitely a Darlington stripe at Daytona.
Sponsors don't like that when you rub off their decals, Rusty. He should know better than that.
No, you know, as a sponsor, you want to see your name go around the racetrack, and that car just got all the sponsors rubbed off the side of it. But I tell you what, if you're going to bounce off the wall, that's about as light as you want to do it. Yeah, just kissing it. Hear it, ding, ding, ding. That's about it, you know. I still think that car is okay.
Well, we are at the halfway point here of the season opener as you ride on board with David, and just, oh, that was right behind him as you're watching watching his car bounce off the concrete there as we were at the halfway point. And one thing these drivers are going to love to hear on the radio is, guys, when they say in the next few laps when it's time to come on the pit road. The last time they were on pit road was around lap 20. So, and Andy, the pit window is about 50 laps or so. So sometime in the next 6 to 8 or 10 laps, we should expect these guys for routine stops.
Yeah, about 50 laps is the most you can go with, and we'll be seeing them coming in here in the next 10 laps.
Well, Kyle Busch started back in 10th spot, has led now 41 laps as he leads the way here. Pit stops are coming. We'll be back in just a moment. And we welcome you back to Daytona, lap 63. We are under yellow for the third time today, and an incident involving some debris off of the 99 car. We saw the 99 a moment ago just have that slight contact with the outside wall, and David Rudeman then had further issues, I guess, with a tire, and that this yellow is going to be a big break for a number of drivers.
Sure, he actually came off of turn 2, and he got in that wall with that front end, and that rear end came around, and you saw how hard he hit that. Andy, when we had the in-car camera off the other car behind Rudeman, you could really see, we talked about it, just barely kissed the wall, but man, from the in-car camera, he whacked it pretty hard, and we just saw him come down with the right rear tire, blew off that 99 car, and that really hurt him, but looks like he might get the free pass. Yeah, into the wall with the front end. The rear comes around. He's climbing a wall right there. And right there at that point. Right rear tire is what got the worst part of that one.
And you can see very top of the screen, you see that the debris begin to come out from where this tire being cut and unraveling. Then he came down pit road for the tire to be replaced as NASCAR, having their spotters all around the racetrack, saw the debris and put the yellow flag out as a safety measure for all the other teams.
You know, it's hard to really see that debris, Jerry. It was a lot of smoke and stuff like that, but I didn't see the rubbers flying out like these tires generally do. I was taking a good look at that before I opened my mouth, but I still didn't see the debris, but NASCAR did identify it on the racetrack through the caution.
Rusty, you know how these guys feel. All these drivers love the fact now they can come on pit road and get some fresh rubber as they will come down at 55 miles per hour. Here is Kyle Busch headed down the entire field. Let's head down to Mike Massaro.
Our leader, Kyle Busch, may look strong, but he's not settling for anything. He says it's awfully tight when they try to hold the bottom of the racetrack, and they lose all grip at the top. Subsequently, they'll make a chassis adjustment and a 4-tire change. Jamie.
Dale Jr. coming in, 4 tires, fuel, and a slight air pressure adjustment to that right front. Dave.
Jamie, Matt Kenseth said, I've never seen it this slick here. Normally, he'd be able to hand this race car that turns a little too easily. Chassis and air pressure adjustments to curtail that. 4 tires for Kenseth. He is now down and out of here.
Whoa, Carl Edwards' car just slides out and wags the tail right in front of Matt Kenseth.
That's a typical Daytona spot leaving, man. I'll tell you what, the rear ends get hung out in these cars, and they can have all kind of problems leaving pit roads. Always a tough one.
Yeah, Jason Leffler trying to get in his pit, and he was all cocked around, and it actually moved over the line, the front line. He was trying to back up, and these guys trying to get out and cause a little bit of traffic.
Great job, guys. Great job.
Carl Edwards, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us?
I'm clear, Rusty.
Boy, I tell you, it looks like the cars are totally out of control out there, losing their front ends, the back ends. You know, how's your car handling all that?
The Scott's Fusion's a little bit tight right now. It's tight when you drive in, Rusty. It's like it's tight all the way to the 3/4 mark of the corner, and then it gets loose, but that's slowing me down. I'm watching this 5 car, man. He's got the rear end hung out 6 inches the whole way around the corner.
Have everybody been running with out there, Carl? Who looks the strongest to you?
I really think that 5 car is strong. I think Matt's going to be real good. He was real loose. If they got that one tightened up, that's who I'm going to go with is Matt. But, man, it's just a lot of fun out here, man.
You know, generally the cars get tied up off of turn 2. Are you telling me right now, predominantly, it looks like all the cars you're looking at are getting loose?
As far as I'm looking at, the cars that are going fast are loose. Exactly, Rusty. And mine, when I run the bottom down there, the front end just takes off. That's why you see me keep having to run the top to get in the shade up there, get some grip. It just won't turn off at 2.
All right, man, we're following you. Bring her home.
Thanks, man. That's all we got to do today.
All right, our thanks to Carl Edwards as he is running in 3rd spot after having pit. And there's Pierre Cattell, as they have serviced the car. And Carl is going to try to hang on and win this one at Daytona while reporting for us from inside the car. Green flag in just a moment. We are back at Daytona International Speedway, just past the halfway point, under caution here for the third time today. And the caution brought out by the number 99 car of David Rudeman, the Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota. And because of a cut tire, and guess what? Because of this caution flag, the Aaron's car becomes the lucky dog, gets the lucky dog free pass. He was the first driver one lap down and now gets to go back on the lead lap. And he brings out the caution and gets back on the lead lap. Not so lucky here, though, as they are working on the car. And they're using some very fine tools here. Those are baseball bat, folks, and tomorrow is the first day official day of spring training here for Major League Baseball, but they're breaking out the bats here in NASCAR a little bit early. And as you watch them work on this car with the baseball bats, we're going to tell you a major announcement was made, speaking of baseball, early in the week when John W. Henry, the principal owner of New England Sports Ventures, yes, he owns the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park and Fenway Sports Group, announced that he has now purchased 50% of Roush Racing. It is now Roush Fenway Racing. So a major partnership. He had all the Roush drivers there. You had Boston Red Sox pitchers, Josh Beckett, Mike Timlin, Tim Wakefield. Wakefield, by the way, has been a NASCAR fan for many years. He grew up down here and loves NASCAR racing, so they were all there. And I think there was an agreement on possibly these guys exchanging some knuckleball instruction for some driving instruction.
I'd like to go down here and talk to PK, see what he's doing to work on Carl Edwards' car. How about it, PK? You hear us up here in the booth?
10-4.
Hey, we talked to Carl a while ago, and he said his car was tight in the middle and loose off, but he's watching that 5 car stroll around there, and he said he's about sideways all the way through the corner. What are you going to do to adjust your car?
We took some air pressure out and put a wedge out, so hopefully we can get him freed up off of 2 where he was having the problem.
Yeah, you think if you can get him sliding all the way through the corner, he can keep up with Kyle, huh?
Yeah, if anybody can slide it all the way through the corner, Carl can, that's for sure.
Yeah, he was nodding his head. He heard us talking to you. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
That's pretty cool. You know, we're watching PK there. We're watching Carl, and Carl's shaking his head like, yeah, you're right, you're right.
He said, yeah, get it sideways. I can handle that.
And how'd you like him? I was talking to him earlier. He's taking a drink of water, and he's got his right hand, and he's motioning what the car is doing. It runs up, and it gets loose, and it turns, it gets tight. That's what's so cool about
we
talking
thought
to
we
these
were
guys.
busy up here.
Yeah, they're having a good time, though. You can tell that.
So he's driving with one hand, using his thumb on the radio button, talking or drinking with his water bottle in the right hand, and motioning to you, telling you what the car's doing. That's pretty good. That's multitasking.
It's definitely multitasking, that's for sure. But I promise if he's running 3 wide, he wouldn't be doing that.
Carl Edwards joining us as an in-car reporter, as well as his crew chief, Pierre Coutel. We call him PK. You hear us use that abbreviation all the time. Just like AJ was, no one ever knew he was Anthony Joseph Foyt for all those years. We are getting set to restart here. Just 52 laps to go. And to me, it looks like the 5 cars Carl Edwards told you has been the car to beat. I don't think anyone's had anything for him, but now with the adjustments, we might see.
Yeah, if they get that car adjusted, I think he can run with Kyle Busch. He was sliding that thing pretty good. They were swapping the lead back and forth. Makes for good racing, but I know he wants to get his car freed up so he can go for the win at the end.
Well, the guy's been working on his car all day long. It's Clint Blower. He's got the lead right now. That Richard Childress car. Richard told me this morning he didn't know what to think about that car because it tore the front fenders up in practice, but it looks like he's got it back together. And here we're going to green, Jared.
All right, Clint Boyer finished 3rd in the points a year ago, but he's leading the field here in the opener for 2007. Boyer will lead him down. Kyle Busch behind him, then Carl Edwards and Matt Kenseth. Earnhardt Jr., he's 5th overall, as they head back to turn 1 and try to come up to full speed of 185 to 190 miles per hour. Still 27 drivers, 27 cars are on the lead lap, and they're all within about 5 or 6 seconds of each other. Whoa, that moved to the inside by Kyle Busch. He's not going to wait on anybody. Kyle on the bottom of the racetrack.
You know, he's been dominating throughout the day. He wants to stay lead. Now, I'll tell you, if you've been playing around back there in the back of the pack, holding on, just saving and waiting for these crashes, now it's about the time to get the throttle and get going. 51 laps to go. They've had 3 or 4 cautions to get these cars handling better, and I would say I'd get the lead out and get after it right now.
There's a new guy showed up. How about Dale Jr. going to the inside? Looks like he's going for the lead.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has not led today, but he takes a run at Carl Edwards, and he has another Chevrolet in tow behind him. That is Rating Series champion Kevin Harvick.
You get these new tires on there. We got some new players at the front.
Now, remember, when you got new tires, this is when you need to strike. A little bump drafting coming down the back straightaway. The 11 car gives the 21 of Kevin Harvick a shot in the back. And all of a sudden, I tell you, it makes you take off. Now, take a look at Matt Kenseth on the outside with Carl Edwards. Look how he just shoots right through that. Just about the time that inside lane took off, he gets a shot in the back from Kenseth, and boy, it makes it go. Just like you saw in 150s the other day when we were watching that race from the grandstands here. Man, that draft really gets going.
Yeah, we showed our little drafting animation, and we didn't have that bump draft in that animation. You can see it really gives a big boost when they get hit from behind.
Now, the reason they're looking aggressive right now, folks, is these cars got new tires. They're real aggressive driving. Just wait for about 20 laps now. That's when they're going to start separating again. The handling's going to start going away from these cars. But while the goodie's good on these tires, these guys are on the throttle and making tracks and getting all out of it they possibly can while they got that grip.
I don't know about you, but I sure like this racing with these good tires.
And they go 3 wide, and it looks like Carl Edwards is the meat in that sandwich. As you take a look at our draft tracks, you can see Matt Kenseth out by himself and not getting a lot of boost help because the others haven't been able to catch up to him. Meanwhile, these others are Earnhardt. Here is the 11 car of Truex looking picked to the outside as you watch the boost fluctuate and the downforce fluctuate on the 17 car.
Okay, he's got his teammate up behind him right on his rear bumper. You see that horsepower come down, that draft boost? He's getting on that outside. Okay, you got the downforce numbers on the right. That's showing you the downforce on the car, and these negative numbers you're seeing on the draft boost. That's how much boost they're getting from the car behind them.
Here's Carl Edwards. He goes back to the inside, and he will slide right up in front of Kenseth and try to go to the outside of the 11 car.
Well, I tell you, that was a nervy move you made just then because you just about ran out of real estate coming off the wall right there. That's something, gosh, you just don't want to do this early. Look at it. Truex gives Edwards a shot in the back of that car. He got sideways coming off the corner right there. Dave, you got any more in this?
Well, the good tires that these guys have, you guys were talking about how good the racing gets, and nobody likes fresh tires more than Carl Edwards, trying to hold his car together right now with that push from behind. His crew chief, Pierre Cattell, told me this morning, Carl likes the fresh stuff. A lot of these teams have saved tires this weekend. They've really practiced less and used up less tires, so they had him at the end of this race. And the 60 of Carl Edwards, they started the day with 4 sets, so they could have something fresh for him at the end of the day.
Yeah, one of the cars we haven't talked a whole lot about today is that 7 car right behind Carl Edwards. That is the 7 car there, the Geico Chevrolet of Mike Wallace. And he is about as good as you get at this super speedway. He's won here in an ARCA car, one here in a NASCAR Craftsman truck car, and one here in a NASCAR Busch Series car. And Rusty, I think this guy probably is awfully good at this racetrack and a lot of the super speedways.
Oh, he really is. He's won so many times here at Daytona, different types of cars, trucks, whatever. 3-year deal with Geico. They're really stuck behind Mike and got him going right now. James Finch is the owner of this team, and Finch is not afraid to put money in this car to make this thing run good. Now, Mike is a veteran here. As you can see, we talked earlier, Tony Stewart, Mike, guys like that, held back. Now it's about time to go. 46 laps to go. He said, hey, let's get the lead out. Let's get this old hot rod going now. And he's got himself up there in the top 6 right now. It looks like 6th position. And, you know, I wouldn't say it's 6 because I tell you, this draft's going to take over. They're going to go back and forth throughout the day.
All right, more on Mike Wallace with Dave Burns.
Guys, let's not forget what a great day he had on Thursday, qualifying for tomorrow's Daytona 500 by racing his way into it. In the second qualifier on Thursday, he finished 11th, just edging out Sterling Marlin, which got him the deal on the 500. Something on the track, guys.
Yeah, he just got a bit of a nudge from behind by Sam Hornish and saved that car. How in the world did he save it? And now he's getting down below the yellow line as he gets a little bit of tap from behind by the 5 car.
Tell you what, he's getting roughed up big time out there. I mean, the Hornish gave him a bump draft coming through the trial and got him really loose. Then he got it again.
Man, he's up on that wheel, getting sideways, never backed out of the throttle. He's still up in there. See Kyle Busch throwing his hand out the window.
Settle down, you're all right.
Hey, here's his tempers kind of get up when they have that contact.
Yeah, Mike is not going to be a happy camper. He said, I am not a cue ball, guys. Now take a look here. Watch the 12 car, left side of your screen. It's just barely nudged against the back of the 7.
You see, Hornish is back and forth, left and right, and proper way to bump draft is stay right dead line behind somebody, but obviously Hornish got out of control a little himself. He tried to help, but so you just don't do that in that part of the track, guys.
He actually lifted the back of the 7 car up, and then the 7 car gets a little help. He gets out of shape with the 5. Well, back up front, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car. This is the same car that he led the most laps with here a year ago, not only in February or July, but how about this move? Mike said, tell you what, I've had enough of this, guys. I'm going to the bottom, and I'm going to the front.
But when you got that momentum, Jerry, when you got a lot of momentum going like Mike had in the 7 Geico car, you just got to go for it. You can't get out of the throttle because right now the good is still in these tires, and they're driving their brains out to try to get that position.
And Mike Wallace right up behind Kevin Harvick, and he is right behind the leader, Dale Earnhardt. They are stacking up 2 wide. They could be 3 wide. Wow, what a finish we are going to have at Daytona. Back with more in just a moment.
Needs to hit it now.
Welcome back to Daytona. It is hot and heavy up front and about to get hotter and heavier. The 21 car had taken the lead just a moment ago. That is Kevin Harvick. To his outside, the 8 car, that is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Mike Wallace trying to become the 12th different leader today in the 7 car. And what a scramble toward the front. And you say, guys, who's missing up there? That's the 5 car. A moment ago, abruptly, this car slowed down.
He said he was out of gas, said his fuel pressure dropped, but he shouldn't be out of gas. They just pitted not too many laps ago. Okay, we see him dropping out of this group down below the yellow line, and he made another lap after this saying that his fuel pressure was down.
Yeah, he says he's lost fuel pressure, no fuel pressure, but Andy, I don't know why he hasn't hit pit road. He just keeps hanging out there, so maybe the fuel pressure is coming back up, coming back. Mike, you got more?
Well, yeah, Rusty, Kyle Busch has to be the most frustrated guy in Daytona. Coming into this race, he called this speed week so far dominant. He considered himself the class of the field in the Budweiser shootout and in the dual 150 and figured to have a chance to win today. No fuel pressure, like you said. Not exactly sure why they haven't stopped yet. We'll get an answer for you in a moment, but I can tell you a lot of frustrated and disappointed people in the 5 pit.
Wow, Mike, what a dominant car he's had. He led 4 times today for 46 laps, and everyone said he was the guy to beat until that happened a moment ago.
You see 2 distinct lines. We got these guys, Kevin Harvick leading the group on the bottom of the racetrack with Mike Wallace. Dale Jr. right up next to the wall in the middle of 3 and 4.
Now see, if Dale Jr. can stay right on top of the wall, that indicates to me he's got a pretty good handle car. If he can keep that thing turning off the top side of the track, a good car. I tell you, the guy really seems proud of me, though, is the 55 car, Robbie Gordon. He tore that car to smithereens in practice. They stayed up all night long, put that car back together, got it handling good right now. He is right back up and mixes thing, running 5th. So what a good job by that team to get that Motorola car back up front where Robbie wants that baby, that's for sure.
Yeah, the 55 car, Ed Buffington and company, what a job they did to put that 55 car back together, and Robbie Gordon is serious.
Yeah, but look at this 33 car. They finally got that thing adjusted. He's back up with the lead guys. He's right there now.
We talk about putting 4 tires on this. I mean, every time these guys put tires on and make these adjustments, the car's going to get better and better. And no Tony Stewart like we know him. He's still talking about changes he's wanting. Guys, give me a little more. I think I can get it done.
Well, with more on it, let's check in the pits with Alan Bestwick.
The doctor was kind of funny listening to Tony when he came in. He and crew chief Dan Stillman talking about the adjustment they were going to make. They were going to lower the track bar on the car. How much was the question? Tony said, think of it like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Everything you can get. Tim Brewer's at our Chevy Cutaway car. Tim, what'd they do?
Tell you what, that's kind of funny. Everything you can get. What we're going to do, we're going to insert the tool in this area right here, and we're going to crank this handle down as far as we can. And what we're actually doing here, as you can see, we're lowering this rear track bar pivot point down here to where it's going to tighten the car up. And hopefully, Tony, he'll enjoy that little adjustment right there. Back upstairs.
All right, thank you, Tim. For more on this, you can log on to ESPN.com and search word Autotech as our Chevy Cutaway car down there with Tim Brewer, our crew chief emeritus down there. All the years, all the championships he has won, giving us an update of exactly what they were doing with the car. And now Carl Edwards decides he wants to take his turn at the front. Does he have enough oomph up on the high side?
Now, when we're talking to Carl on the caution flag, he said, now we're getting up in the shade. When he gets his car up in the shade, he gets more grip. And as you see him, he's rim riding that car. Rim riding meaning the car's way up on top of the racetrack. He's in that shaded part of turn 1 and 2 where he gets more grip, and he seems to be handling really good upstairs, I call it.
You see Clint Boyer with his hand in the windshield. You see him waving back to Dale Jr. I think they're trying to get together, see what they can do on the high side. Those hand signals, they use that to try to get these guys together to run in a line and try to work together. You know, Mike Wallace still right there.
But Mike looks like he's got a really good handle of the car. A lot of times, Andy, when you're waving your hands trying to get somebody to run with you, yeah, you wish you could, but if your car's not handling, you just can't help the guy as much as he'd like to have you help him. Like you watch a 2-car of Clint Boyer go in the corner, Martin Truex rolls back a little bit. See, they're not in the same lane. One's higher and one's lower. They just can't help each other like that because they're driving their car to where that car handles the very best in the corner.
All right, watching still side by side. Looks like 185-mile-per-hour pace laps. They're side by side. Now Clint Boyer driving for Richard Childress, the 2-car, trying to help his fellow Cup Series teammate, Kevin Harvick. He sort of gives him that little boost push by, and Harvick now pulls away by about 4 or 5 car lengths in front of this car, Carl Edwards.
And one guy you need to take a look at, I've been watching, has got his nose right in there. And I keep thinking, man, who is it? That car looks so good out there. It's Mark Martin in the 06 car. He has been lingering right there just like a fox getting ready to jump on his prey, man. He's just all over those guys. But he's a smart driver. He's just logging laps right now with 33 to go here in this race.
Yeah, some of these guys may hang out in the back of the pack the first half of the race. But when you get down to about 35, 30 laps to go, it's time to start seeing what you can really do and who you can run with. And you see these guys standing on the gas and coming up front. You got Mike Wallace up there. You got Mark Martin and Clint Boyer. This is the first time you've really seen him be up front and be in the lead or running second like he is now.
All right, the leaderboard up front. It's the Kevin Harvick show right now here at Daytona. Harvick, the reigning series champion. Boyer, Edwards, Mike Wallace, and Martin Truex Jr. Hey, you want to know a little bit more about Clint Boyer? He finished 3rd in the Busch Series championship a year ago, but how about a little more on Clint?
I am Clint Boyer. I have a go-kart track in our backyard, and we run, races about either Tuesday or Wednesday night. I borrowed Harvick's Bobcat one day. About 2 months later, I brought it back with a racetrack in my backyard. Started out with about 4 or 5 carts, and now it's up to about 22 carts. Guys from the shop come out. It's usually in a big fight or argument or something. Somebody's cheating somebody out of something. And everybody's a racer, They're in the sport for a reason. It kind of brings you back to, why you started racing.
We welcome you back to crunch time at the NASCAR Busch Series opener here in Daytona Beach, Florida. On a beautiful, sunny, somewhat breezy Saturday afternoon, we come down toward the final 25 laps. And folks, keep in mind, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Tony Stewart have won the last 5 of the February Busch races. Now, Earnhardt Jr. on lap 50 cruised into first place. Remember, he started back in 8th. Then he dropped back a little bit, but there he is going past Carl Edwards. As for Smoke, he started way back in 36. Slowly went up to 19. Had trouble with his car. Then he started gradually battling his way back, and you can see how he has been fighting that steering wheel all day. But as we come down to crunch time, Jerry, everybody knows you don't rule out either Earnhardt or Stewart in this situation.
And Brent, you are exactly right. Tony Stewart has been almost unbeatable. Last year in the Daytona NASCAR Busch Series, you see February winner last year, Tony Stewart. June winner, Dale Earnhardt Jr. As Earnhardt Jr. led the most laps in both of these races a year ago. Now, what about the 5-car? It looked to be the car to beat all day long, Mike Massaro.
Well, that's right, Doc. As disappointed as Kyle Busch must be, he just managed to crack a little bit of a smile a moment ago. What are your thoughts right now?
Just disappointing, we had a great race car. The Spectre Side-Load Chevrolet Monte Carlo was awesome, and it kind of proved leading as many laps as we did and pulling away from the field by ourselves, running there on the bottom. Kind of looked like Junior here from last July. But, NASCAR is going to this new cable-driven fuel pump deal, and, it hasn't really been tried and trued and all the bugs worked out of it yet. And we're running it on all of our Hendrick Motorsports cars because that's what we have to run in the car tomorrow. So we're trying to get time on it and make sure that we get all the faults out of it. And we had a fault here today, so we'll try to figure out what that is and take it back to Hendrick Motorsports and try to figure it all out so then we don't have any of these and further issues on the Nextel Cup side.
It seems like you've had some great race cars throughout Speed Weeks, but really nothing to show for it right now. How do you make sense of what's gone on for you this week?
I have no idea. I have got absolutely nothing to show for it. You're absolutely right there. So, all we have is the lap total, and the lap total doesn't matter until you lead the last one. So, we've got to work on that somehow. And, like I said, these guys have given me an awesome race cars all throughout Speed Weeks, and I just can't say enough about all those guys back to shop, engine shop, chassis shop.
body shop, all the restrictor plate boys. They've done an awesome job down here for me in the number 5 cars. So we're looking forward to tomorrow. We'll see what we get then.
Well, thanks, Kyle. Doc still got one more shot, the Daytona 500 tomorrow afternoon.
Absolutely an impressive performance by Kyle Busch. He led 4 times for 46 laps and had the dominant car here early on. Now, the big concern among these cars, we know who's fast, but who can be the most fuel efficient? Andy Petrie, they last pitted on lap 64, and that's going to put them close.
Well, it'll put them close, and there'll be 2 or 3 cars that may be able to do that, but I'll tell you what, they're going to be wanting some new tires if they go that far.
Now, what is the fuel strategy? As you watch Dale Earnhardt Jr. look down on the bottom of the racetrack and then slide way back up across the track as he catches the race car, we'll update what the fuel strategy will be. Who can make it? Who's going to try to make it? And when will they make this last stop if they can come in? Kevin Harvick showing the way. Back in just a moment. Bottom of your screen, that is Tony Stewart. And, oh, Dave Blaney right up in front of Greg Biffle. Blaney is in the Camry in the middle there. That is Biffle in the 26 car.
20 laps to go. These guys are starting to get in position. They're not holding anything back right now.
You've watched this time and again as a crew chief on top of the pit box, Andy. Who do you think is in the best position now to make a move?
Right now, I like to be in the lead. Kevin Harvick's car looks really good. He's out front, but these other guys, you see Stewart working the bottom. He's starting to come up. It's the 20 to go. These guys can dig down and get something a little more.
All right, Kevin Harvick leading him now single file. If you're wondering again what happened to the 99 car for David Rudiman, there is the Aaron's green machine slowing down. Let's see if we can see top of your screen.
Hit almost the exact same place he hit earlier. Just not quite as hard. And you see the tire smoke. Fender gets in on the tire. I bet you he doesn't sit out there long before he comes in and gets that pick.
You know, I'm surprised he was that high on the track. You know, hit that wall the same exact spot as he did last time. He's working the top side, and that car just gives up to him off of turn 2. Just no confidence up there. I'll tell you, if I was, you know, running that front end pushing that bad, Andy, I don't believe I'd be every single lap up there toying around with that thing. See Sam Hornish coming in. Look at the right side of that Mobil 1 car.
He looked like Darlington. He's got guys scraping his wall, Darlington stripes down all these cars.
You can't tell where you're at. It does look just like Darlington. Team going to work in that car. Get a lot of experience right now. Whether Hornish is going to run good or not and have a good finish, these pit crew members, it's a good thing they're doing. You see them in there putting a spring rubber in that right rear spring, it looks like, making an adjustment. Hornish says this car's too tight. Looks like that's what they're doing. Back on. But, you know, if anything, they're getting a lot of experience because he just needs to learn how to make pit stops, things like that.
All right. Kevin Harvick continuing to show the way as laps are clicking down. Jamie Little.
Well, guys, Kevin Harvick is out there having a great time. The car has been great. He's been so quiet on the radio the entire race. The best news he has right now is his teammate Clint Boyer is in his rear view mirror. The team says Kevin can make it to the finish. And guys, Kevin Harvick last year, record-setting year en route to his championship. He won 9 times. He has never won here at Daytona. We'll have to wait and see if he can make it happen.
Well, earlier this week, Clint Boyer says it takes a lot of luck to win at restrictor plate tracks, and he may need some this afternoon. His crew chief estimates that they're very close, maybe within a half a lap of the fuel window of going the distance. They just asked him to see if he could hug the bottom of the racetrack. His response was, it's very hard to do that. Alan?
Mark Martin driving for Roush Racing here at Daytona today. Mark has never had a lot of success at this track. The winningest driver in the NASCAR Busch Series ever has never won here. Mark is running 3rd now. His crew chief Chad Norris says they might be able to make the finish on fuel. It's going to be close. Dave?
Alan, Carl Edwards wanted to know whether he could make it on fuel or not. He radioed into PK, asked him if he could make it. He said no problem. In fact, during practice this week, they did not spend time during final practice making what they call a fuel run, running it out of fuel to see how far they could go, because they did that during testing, and they were very confident about the readings they were getting.
All right, guys, 3 sets of teammates up front. It's who's going to get the best teamwork and who can get the most help from who, and it's all about friendship now.
Well, we're talking about dancing partners and trying to find your dancing partner. These guys, they found that the teammates are the guys they can count on, and now they're starting to get lined up. You see the 2 Childress cars up front. You got the 2 Roush cars working behind him.
Well, who's going to lead and who's going to follow? Whose toes get stepped on in this dance? 15 laps to go. We'll see who's going to be the prom queen when we come back. This telecast is available in ESPN2 HD, presented by Vizio. Final laps here at Daytona, the season opening NASCAR Busch Series event. And we are setting a record here Fewest caution laps, 13 back in February of 2003. Actually, we have tied the record for the fewest caution laps, and I'm sure we just jinxed ourselves by saying that, because that's typically what happened. Kevin Harvick, as you heard a moment ago in the pits, he has never won at Daytona. Neither has Mark Martin, who's come all the way from the back of the pack. And what about the fuel mileage, guys? He has led 31 laps, and that was the big concern. How far could they go? And these fuel graphics, if it's green, it's plenty of fuel. If it's yellow, you got to worry about it. When it's down in the red, that is an area for serious concern, because you are almost dry.
Yeah, we're showing the top 3 guys, Harvick, Boyer, and Martin, all the way down in the red night. They're right on fumes if they do make it at all. That's our calculations are showing us that. You know, the handling on these cars, you can really see the cream is rising to the top of these drivers. You know, Harvick, Edwards, Boyer, Truex, Blaney, these guys are all good Cup guys, and they have really got their cars handling well to their ability right now. Look at them right on the top of the racetrack. You see Boyer up there. They're working this groove all over. And it seems like these Cup guys can always persevere and get themselves to the top.
Yeah, it's 10 laps to go. It's starting to heat up. These guys are really standing on it. We see Kevin Harvick out in front. He doesn't have Clint Boyer right on his bumper anymore. He's got Carl Edwards back there.
But Andy, I'll tell you what, if I was Martin or Clint Boyer up at the top of this racetrack behind Edwards, I think I'd be saving that fuel a little bit. It seems like he's one of the guys who can stay on top of the track and just breathe it. You know, if you're in the bottom of the track running, you can't afford to save that fuel. Gets bound up down there a little bit, uses more fuel. If you can back out of that, baby, and save some, that's good.
How do you back out of the gas when it's 9 laps to go?
Well, you just feather back out of it. You feather back out a little bit and get into it, and you can go. Look, if he could be in the pit area right now if he doesn't watch it on fuel.
Oh, they scatter up side by side, and now Carl Edwards is all the way at the top of the racetrack and pulls almost dead even with the 21 car. And he's getting some help from Clint Boyer.
Now Boyer's got some help now with the 32 car. Blaney, hey, saved a little gas right there, but now he's going to have this partner, the 21, and Kevin Harvick, shove him into the lead, and you got Boyer right in second place right now. That was a good move. One other guy that I've been watching throughout the day that I'm really surprised to see back up there is Blaney in that Camry. You know, we didn't know how the Toyotas are going to run. We knew that the motor's good. Oh, look, Mark Martin kicked that rear end out, guys. That track is really going away, and these drivers with 9 to go.
Dave Blaney has come back to be a major factor here in the final laps. Dave Burns.
And Jerry, you always wonder about a new manufacturer in terms of fuel. Toyotas are getting great horsepower. His teammate Jason Leffler was only getting about 51 laps here at Daytona when I checked with them early this morning. I just checked with their crew. They can make it all the way, even though they're making all that horsepower.
Here's Dave Blaney. That is a Toyota. Remember, we had a Toyota on the front row today, and now we have a Toyota running second in their very first NASCAR Busch Series event.
Jerry, we're going to go back to draft track. I want to take a look at this one more time and see what type of help Harvick is really good in right now. You know, not much help. See the gap between him and Dave Blaney? In fact, it's about a -7 horsepower. Just kind of hanging out right now. Let's see what the second place car's got now. Blaney, he's about, he's got a little gain right there, about 36 horsepower gain at that moment. See, he's sucked up on the back of Kevin Harvick. We had a big jump in the draft boost gen right there. You see the downforce numbers moving all around, folks. This is what happens when you draft out there. It can really affect the handling of the car. And draft boost, this is a great indicator of what these cars are really getting up. Now, 7 laps to go. The 32 car, Dave Blaney, he wants to see that draft boost number up in the positive number, and he's trying hard to get there.
Now, Andy, the 60 car had laid back a moment ago and has now gotten a run and reeled in the top 2. That is the 60 of Carl Edwards, but can he get some help?
Yeah, he's our in-race reporter, and he's up there behind Dave Blaney. Dave Blaney's bumper is about to fall off. He can't hardly afford to get much bump drafting help on that rear bumper. But, man, he showed up in a hurry, and right here at the right time of the race. 7 laps to go, 6 laps to go. He's in position to win.
I'll tell you what, that's what he wants, I think, to do is fall off. Because I'll guarantee if that bumper falls off, it's going to get better yet. You see it flapping right now, and we all know that sure is not hurting anything. If anything, it's helping that new Toyota run faster yet. But above all, this cat's got a good handling race car. We're talking deep into the run, guys, now. And where is Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Look him in the back. In fact, he's with the 33 of Tony Stewart, and that's what he needs. Those two guys really draft good together. But I tell you what, I'm afraid with 6 laps to go, they better get the lead out of us. We're not going to get there.
Yeah, they better get going if they're going to get it done here.
Earnhardt Jr. has won here in NASCAR Busch competition 5 times. Tony Stewart has won the last 2 in a row. These 2 guys are the best in the business at this racetrack in Busch Series competition, but they're running out of time.
Kevin Harvick's got control of it right now, but Dave Blaney, we haven't seen what he can do yet. If he could get somebody like Carl Edwards or Clint Boyer up behind him, he might be able to draft by Kevin Harvick.
Well, Jerry, every time I've been in this position before, you got 5 laps to go, and you can always stand on it for a couple laps and hold on for dear life and pick a couple positions up. But if you stand on it too early, you're going to lose this car. So I think that these guys right now are going to give it all they got with about 2 to go, because right now they're just too ill-handling.
All right, how about the 20 car? Denny Hamlin becoming a factor, and here comes Stewart on the bottom of the racetrack. The 8 car is all the way up and almost against the wall, and Tony said, okay, guys, time to call it. Let's go after it. He's pulling the plug, and Andy, you've seen that happen
he's
before.
Not waiting on any drafting help. He just dove to the bottom of the racetrack. He sees Clint Boyer up there. He's going to try to get right up on his bumper and maybe draft by Carl Edwards.
As they come back by now, Tony Stewart. I'll tell you, folks, a year ago when Tony won this race, he didn't lead until 11 laps to go, and he was able to draft by and get the lead.
Well, right now, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Martin Truex, their teammates are saying, let's get hooked, get going. That's the only chance they got with 4 laps to go. Truex has got to stay with Junior. Junior, you see him coming by the outside right now. He's hooked up with Truex at the moment, and that is what they got. But you know what? Harvick has got the lead. He's got that clean air in the front. He's got the best handling car. And I'll tell you what, they're really starting to get spread out in the back of the pack right now. If Harvick gets off the bottom of the racetrack and lets it 32 of Blaney underneath him, it could spell disaster. But I'll tell you what, Harvick is much smarter than that. I don't believe he's going to move at all, guys.
Stewart made the big run, but his car got loose, had to back out of the gas. Now he's back behind these guys.
Kevin Harvick, as you heard, has never won at Daytona. 3 laps to go. 7.5 miles to completion of this very first NASCAR Busch Series event of the 2007 season. Way up on the outside, Martin Truex and his teammate car, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Who can make it and who can't on fuel? We're watching all these cars and we're waiting for somebody to drop out of there out of fuel.
That is the big story right now, and you're right, the fuel. But I tell you what, you're going to worry about fuel right now, or else you're going to stand on it and try to win the race. As a driver, I'm going, hey, look, I've done all I can with the fuel. Let's go for it. We're just about out of time here, guys.
This is what you're saving it for. You're saving it for the end so you can win.
Earnhardt Jr. trying to pull it off on the bottom of the racetrack as they flash by. It'll be 2 to go this time by.
Can Kevin Harvick make it?
Chevrolet for Kevin Harvick, Toyota for Dave Blaney, Ford for Carl Edwards. Right now, you're a driver. You're sitting there worried about the fuel. What are you listening for?
Now, you're just watching the fuel pressure gauge, and you're trying to get out of the throttle all you can. Folks, I know you're thinking I'm nuts that you get out of the throttle, but there are places to breathe this engine. Look at this. Chevrolet, Toyota, Ford. Just what NASCAR wants to. And this is the way they qualified to, guys. Chevy, Toyota, Ford. Talk about equal cars out there today. NASCAR's done a great job getting these cars figured out to keep them equal.
2 by 2 behind you.
They come roaring out of turn 4 to take the white flag.
They're all still running strong.
Just watch the fuel. Watch the fuel. That's going to be the big story right now. Who can make it and who not?
Kevin Harvick will have some lap traffic to be able to use to keep people from making an early move here on this final lap. Harvick in the AutoZone Chevrolet will not run the full tour. He dominated the NASCAR Busch Series season a year ago.
Looks like they're all going to make it to the finish line.
Dale Jr., look, he's not going to make it, guys. The car is just handling too ill. He's done all he possibly can. He might be able to get a top 6 or a top 5 out of this thing. That's about all he's got in that car of his.
Final turns in the season-opening NASCAR Busch Series event. Kevin Harvick comes from 31st starting spot and will come across and take the checkered flag. Kevin Harvick wins.
Finally! How about that? Good job, guys. Awesome job. What a great call, man. This thing flat out all last run.
Finally gets the big one.
I'll tell you what, look at that Chevrolet, Toyota, Ford. If I was a NASCAR, folks, I'd be going, boys, that's just the way I designed it. It's just what you like to see out there. But good going for Kevin Harvick. What a great handler car all day long. Hey, Andy, I'm not for sure he can do a burnout and get that baby back. It's going to probably run itself out of fuel.
He didn't have the fastest car, but he did have the best handling car when it counted.
Yeah, congratulations to Shane Wilson and the crew down there, the crew chief for Kevin Harvick. This is the car that won 10 times a year ago, 9 times with Kevin Harvick and once with Jeff Burton on board. And this is the car that he owns as we head down to the Harvick pits and Mike Massaro.
And an elated crew chief, Shane Wilson, congratulations. What were you thinking in those closing laps?
Well, we were pretty close on gas, but, I just want to thank everybody back at RCR, the body hangers, the engine builders. I mean, this is their race. We come and do the deal, but we got to have good equipment to be able to do what we did there today.
Looked like your teammate was bogged back in traffic. You did not have a drafting partner. How were you coaching Kevin to the finish?
First of all, I don't coach Kevin. He's great at these places. It was good. It was a fun day.
Back to you guys, an elated Shane Wilson.
All right, Kevin Harvick gets to do something he has never done at Daytona in a NASCAR Busch Series car. Spin those donuts and celebrate. As Kevin Harvick follows up that championship season in 2006 with a season-opening win here in 2007. Race number 1 of the $50 million tour is in the books. Harvick's the winner, and our in-race reporter, by the way, Carl Edwards, finished third. Speedway, the season opener is history, and Kevin Harvick has come all the way from 31st starting spot to win for the very first time in his career at Daytona in a NASCAR Busch Series car. Let's go down to victory lane and Jamie Little.
Well, Dr. Punch, he's finished second here 3 times, and today, Kevin, 31st to first. How did you make it happen?
Wow, our AutoZone Chevrolet was really good today, handling-wise, and I told him, I said, if we ever get all the way to the front, we're going to be in really good shape because the whole last run, once I got to the front, I never had to let off the floor. So Shane and all these guys on this AutoZone Chevrolet did a great job making this car handle, and just a lot of fun to drive.
Kevin, as the defending champion this year, your plan was just to come out and race a few races. With this win, are you having second thoughts?
Absolutely not. We're here to win races, and, it's something to where, we just want to go out and hopefully keep going where we left off last year. So this is a great team, great organization, and just glad we finally got that super speedway win. We've pretty much done everything else, and to get this one is really cool.
Congratulations. Kevin Harvick comes away victorious, Doc.
And he gets the big hug from Richard Children. There's his car owner, Delana Harvick, who's also his lovely wife, as she helps with Kevin Harvick Incorporated, a 70,000 square foot shop just outside of Kernersville, North Carolina. Celebration is ongoing. Kevin Harvick takes the win in the Orbitz 300 at Daytona International Speedway. Back with more in just a moment. Stay with us. NASCAR Busch Series action at Daytona International Speedway is history. The season opener going to Kevin Harvick from back in the pack, and they're celebrating in victory lane, but there's got to be a lot of smiles, Alan Bessick, down in the Toyota camp.
Yeah, Doc, their first entry in the NASCAR Busch Series yields a second-place result. Dave Blaney and his team pulled that off. Dave, tell me about your race. Your car was pretty battle-scarred when you came in here. First, you were in an early spin. Did you think you could come back after that?
Yeah, we were tore up a little bit early, and I didn't know how much it hurt. It did get up a little bit, but I knew from practice this thing was really, really fast. And, yeah, they got it fixed up to where, I got back in the pack and it took off. So, and, the big thing was handling today. It handled great the whole race, and that Toyota motor was fast. It kept me in the race.
When you were chasing Kevin Harvick in those final few laps, what was the difference where you couldn't get to him and try and draft by?
I was just having to crack the throttle in the middle of the corner to keep mine turning, and I don't think he was. And I don't know if it was, if I'd had my nose in clean air, maybe I could have, done the same. But he was just a little better at the end, and there was no hope for me moving up the track. The bottom was the best, so his car was just better. He did a good job.
Congratulations on a great run. Dave Blaney finishes second today. Dave Burns.
Well, Tony Stewart finishes 8th today, and it was not what he was hoping for after a great speed weeks with a couple of wins, one in the duel, one in the shootout. You showed up there at the end, but didn't have quite enough. What happened?
No, we just were, yesterday when we qualified a second off the pace, I knew we were struggling a little bit. But
we're getting run over by your buddy Denny here.
I had a lot more close calls than that, so, but thanks, bud. We just were really, really loose. That first long run we had, we were just, deathly loose, but guys did a really good job, and we went 2 rounds in the left rear, 1 round in the right rear, down like 3 rounds on the track bar. So that is absolutely a major change on these cars. So that's the only thing we could do to get it tight enough. We still got loose at the end, but at least we were fast enough to be a contender there.
You were going for 3 in a row in this race. You disappointed you didn't get it?
I got 3 top 10s in a row, so I'll find the bright side to it.
All right, Tony Stewart finishing in the top 10 today again. Jerry?
Another impressive performance by Tony Stewart. Didn't back up his back-to-back wins, but had a great run considering the car that he was ill handling. Well, this crowd of over 100,000 now filing out. And these beautiful aerial shots courtesy of the folks at Goodyear Tires, featuring triple tread technology. Back with more post-race in the garage in a moment. Well, the season opener from Daytona International Speedway is history. 16 different lead changes among 11 different drivers. Kevin Harvick led only once, but it was the last time he had the lead for the final 42 laps, and goes to victory lane for the first time in his career in a NASCAR Busch Series race here. And speaking of going to victory lane a lot in your career in Busch Series racing, let's go down to Mike Massara with the guy he's with.
Hey, Doc, you know the Boston Red Sox, they've got a pretty powerful 1-2 punch in David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez. Well, it seems like Roush Fenway has their 1-2 punch in the likes of Carl Edwards and Mark Martin. You guys worked tremendously together in those closing laps. What was the strategy between you two?
Well, we were trying to win, and I wasn't going to help someone else beat Carl, and I'm sure Carl wouldn't have helped someone beat me, but we kind of shuffled around there, and I thought my car wasn't quite as fast as his, so I really thought I was going to be better off in front. I couldn't push him as good as he could push me, and he got by me there, and it just played out. We came up a few spots short, but it was pretty exciting right down to the finish. And I just want to thank Dish Network and all the guys for doing an awesome job today and putting me in a race car so that I could have so much fun.
Carl, you got out of the car, and the first thing you said to me was, "Wow, that was fun." Yeah. What'd you enjoy most?
I guess the finish was the best. When Mark pushed me past Clint, we ended up third. I mean, so proud of the Scott's Fusion team. I mean, we did a great job today, and congratulations to Kevin. They did a good job. But mostly, it's like Mark said, we got long green flag runs. We got to slide around on those Goodyear tires and really race. That was cool.
I thought you were going to say the most fun was being the in-car analyst. What was that like for you?
It's pretty neat. Didn't work out so well last night in the truck race, but it was a good deal today. So hopefully we'll do it again, more often than not.
Congratulations, Sky. Carl Edwards running for the championship. Off to a pretty good start, finishing third today. Jamie?
Well, Mike, Dale Earnhardt Jr. started 20th, worked his way all the way to the front, led some laps, and ended up 7th. But, Junior, before the race, you told me about your strategy because there were so many rookies in the field. How did it work for you?
Well, not real good. We weren't far enough back when they had that one wreck, and we got brushed up in a little bit. But, it was a tough race. I mean, the cars were really, really tight. Everybody was having difficulty trying to pass. And I feel like that, they're just, just real tight on the racetrack. We couldn't get our car freed up. And congratulations to Kevin. Those guys did a great job at RCR, and Kevin did a good job driving the car. Everybody that, outrun us just handled a little bit better than we did. And just glad to finish and not be in any accidents and get it in the books.
Talk to me about your line. I was even talking to your team. They're like, well, he started off low, and that's really not like Junior. He likes to run high, and then you were kind of running high toward the end. What was it like?
Well, we were trying to move up because when I'd get on the bottom, if I'd go in the corner on the bottom after 20 laps, I'd have to lift getting into 3 and stay half throttle all the way to the exit of the corner, and I just wasn't fast that way. And wasn't going to be able to pass nobody, catch nobody, and I'd be real slow down the front straightaway. So I'd try to run the top, but I kept hitting the wall up there because I was still so tight. So we hit the wall twice. It was like Darlington here today. It was really akin to Darlington as far as how the track's slick and the tires really hard.
One thing's for sure, guys, when he got out in front, every fan in the stands were on their feet.
All right, Jamie, thank you very much. The EI cars finishing 6th and 7th. By the way, 3 Roush Fenway cars finishing in the top 10 with Edwards, Martin, and Greg Biffle in 10th. Back with more in just a moment.